And we're live. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another edition here on the Sunni Defense channel. Inshallah, tonight we have a treat for you all. Me and Hassan, we're going to be having a little debate on the topic of al-ihtijaj bil-hadith al-da'if, which is using weak hadiths against our opponents. That's the basic topic. Hassan, would you like to give a brief explanation as to what that means?
Repeat the title again.
الاحتجاج بالحديث ضعيف على المخالف. That's the simplest. That's how I like to put it.
All right. الاحتجاج بالحديث الضعيف على المخالف. يعني using weak narrations as a hujjah, as a evidence against the opposer of your belief. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulullah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So, we're going to have a kind of debate. Can we use weak hadith against our mukhalif, against our opposer? I would say, as an introduction, it depends. It depends who is your mukhalif. It depends who is your mukhalif and what are his standards. And I go further. I say it depends even if you got a specific mukhalif from a specific group, from a specific religion, from a specific sect. Even within the sect, it could be that he's one of those who, for example, accept everything in the Bible. It could be some, like the Christians. There's Christian groups. I'll give you an example. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church abide by all the main rules in the Old Testament. They don't eat pork, absolute haram, and many other rules they follow in the Old Testament. Now, most of us who live in the West, and we live with the Christians in the West, we know that to them and their churches, the Old Testament is mansukha, completely abrogated. They don't follow it aslan. So if somebody would say to
Hassan,
me,
before we get to that, before we get to, by the way, please mute your mic when I'm speaking because there's annoying echo. We have Hani, alhamdulillah, he's on board tonight. Hi Hani. Hi.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. Hani, would you like to moderate this thing? Because who knows, it might become a mess.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm not staying here for long, so
Ma'alish, at least for the beginning.
I think we're civilized enough, but
I don't think we are.
We're not. Well,
I hope we are.
From what I heard, you guys are debating whether weak hadith can be used
against Shias.
Yeah. Right, and the brother Hassan was talking about that.
Yeah. Should we time this, Hassan, or because I know you're gonna go on for a while. You're still muted.
As you wish. You interrupted me.
No, you interrupted me. Okay, go on.
I brought an example. The Christians. Most Christians we know, or people who deal with Christians, they believe that the Old Testament is completely abrogated. So for them, you're quoting that khinzir is impure, not halal. They don't care. This is abrogated to me. Whereas there is churches way older, way more traditional, like the Ethiopian Tawhidu church, that abides by the laws of Musa alayhi salam, Moses, at least when it comes to these things. So it depends, akhi. It depends. It is too general, al-ihtijaj bi-al-hadith al-dha'if, al-mukhalif. This is, so far it's too general. What does it mean? Who is the mukhalif? Who's the mukhalif? Who's the opposer? Obviously, we talk about Shias, I know. We talk about 12ers, I know. Imamis, I know. Well, it depends. It depends. There's different type. There's the Rijali type of Shi'i who applies it very strictly. The Rijal, the Sanad, the Asanid must be connected. There's others. They have other usul. So it really depends, akhi. And I can give you many examples that When it comes to Shias, it depends on the situation, on the person, on the group.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So in my point of view, I'm just going to keep it simple the way I see it. I personally am very much against a Shi'i using a weak hadith, not just against me, but against any Sunni. I feel that it does not represent, a weak hadith does not represent Sunni orthodoxy, does not represent true Sunnism, and therefore I wouldn't want to use a similar tactic against a Shi'i. I wouldn't want to use a weak hadith against a Shi'i. If I'm going to argue something against a Shia, I would only restrict myself to authentic hadiths. And I think that's an objective method of argumentation. تفضل.
All right. The flaw in your thinking is that you look at Shiism, at your mukhalif, at your opposer, from the lenses of a Sunni. And you're too Sunni. And you are born Sunni, and I'm a born Shi'i. Maybe I've a slight advantage here. There's a beautiful saying from a brother. He says, the Rafida, when he says the Rafida, when I say the Rafida, I need the polemicists and the extremist scholars. They're laymen, may Allah guide them. They don't know many of these haqa'iq, of these truths, hidden truths, true hidden truths, of the falsehood of their madhab. The Rafida, the 12 extremists, are usuliyin when it comes to us. Sorry, they are akhbariya when it comes to themselves, among themselves. Akhbariya is a minority Shia group, 12 group, they have ikhtilaf among themselves, who accept all the narrations in the 4 main books, at least. So they're akhbariya with among themselves. That is why, you know, they accept all these khurafat narrations. They're more bid'ah, they're more khurafi, they're more ghulu, extremism with them, imams, the better. That's why you see the scholars on the minbar saying, attribute anything you want to the Ahl al-Bayt. Attribute everything you want to Ali bin Abi Talib. There is no ghulu, there is no extremism of Ali bin Abi Talib, except rububiyyah, except saying he's literally God, although some of them even say this in one way or another. But when it comes to us, they suddenly become usuliyin, real usuliyin. They suddenly try to weaken whatever causes them a problem. So, akhi, I repeat, you look from the lens of a Sunni. What you said is correct with regards to Sunnis, because Sunnis are Ahlul Hadith. Sunnis are Ahlul Sanad. Sunnis say that if there wasn't Sanad, if it wasn't for the Asanid, there was no deen. Sunnis have people like Abdullah ibn Mubarak and others from the Salaf who said, look from who you take your religion from. If it wasn't from the Asanid, there was no deen. This is Sunni mentality. This is proper orthodox change of narrations. This is our tradition that precedes them. Aslan Rijal, the system of Rijal, our books of Rijal, analyzing ahadith precedes them by hundreds of years, over 150 years at least. So you can't look at that. You can't look at this from the lens.
Honey, cut him off, honey, cut him off. He's speaking for too long, man. هذا من وقتي. Do something about it, man.
Yeah, I answered you.
Shouldn't answer you. If you can speak for like half an hour, you don't let me speak, man.
Good talk. Good talk.
All right. Okay. So, Ali, all right. Okay. So honey, man, you freaking moderate this well, huh? I need you. I need your help, Yahi. All right.
Yeah,
okay. So my response.
I'm just listening.
All right. So my response to this. Okay, Hassan. You used the statement of your friend who said that Shia are Rasuliyin against us, but Akhbariyin with each other. I don't believe this is true. I don't believe this is accurate. You seem to be speaking. Please, Yahi, mute your mic because there's this echo coming up. Okay. From my experience, Shi'is, you're referring to 2 different types of Shi'is. You're talking about Shi'is who debate Sunnis, okay, and Shi'is who practice within themselves and study within themselves. That's what it seems to me. Because yes, a Shi'i that debates a Sunni will definitely become an usuli, even if he is an akhbari. He will be weakening things here and there, without a doubt about that. However, Shi'is among themselves, those who are not, in debate mode, those who are trying to ascertain what is the correct statement of the Imam, I have seen them weaken hadiths. I have seen their fatwas falling into what is authentic from the statements of the Imams. I see this all the time. So I think this slogan that you've used is an incorrect slogan and doesn't really apply.
Okay, barakallahu feek. My turn. You and I and everybody else must be reminded that every speech has tafsil. Tafsil means, how would I translate it? For example,
details and the
details, yeah. Of course, what I mentioned is am. Am is in general sense. And we have many such examples. And this is the practice of the Salaf. What I did is our heritage and practice of our Salaf. I can give you a dalil. Abdullah bin Mas'ud or Abdullah bin Umar, one of the two, I'm pretty sure, one of the two definitely, was asked about witr. And when he was asked if it's wajib or mustahab, he got annoyed at this question. He said, just pray it. Why is that? Because people they thought that he means it is wajib, but he got annoyed at them digging more, because he didn't want them to become lenient in the matter of Salatul Witr. So this is the practice of our Salaf. And even the Prophet ﷺ, for example, in the famous hadith, Man taraka salat, man taraka salat faqad kafar. Whoever leaves the salah has disbelieved. Now, even the scholars who believe that this hadith is not mutlaq in itlaq sense, that leaving a single salah makes you kafir, they just narrate it as it is, because this is the practice of our Salaf. So, Baba Farid, this is not a strong argument from you to say, yes, I've seen Shias weaken among each other, because I never disputed that in the first place. I brought a qa'idah that is based on experience, which I believe that you and Hani and everybody else has experienced, that this is a general qa'idah that is true. And of course, I'm speaking about this polemics when Shia is discussed with Sunnis. Other than that, yes, there is Shias among each other who, they're scholars, they're learned, and they're hawzat, who weaken here and there stuff. But as I said, my qa'idah is am, and I hope now we go to the crux of the matter, which I repeat, Brother Farid. And now it's your turn. Let me finish this one sentence. Brother Farid, what I say is, you have to treat a madhab the way it based on its own usul and qawa'id. I need to bring now a particular example, and you need to answer that. I give you an example. Yasir al-Khabith, may Allah give him what he deserves. I watched his lectures about ilm al-diraya in Arabic. I watched his lectures about on what basis do they take a hadith, on what basis do they reject a hadith. So what does he say? He says that we are not sanad worshippers. And this miskin calls Ahl Sunnah wa Jama'ah, Ahl Tawheed, he calls us sanad worshippers. He said, and a lot of strawman arguments. He says that we are not just basing the authenticity of a narration or a ritual or a Shia practice on a or two hadith and the sanad only. There's other factors. Your turn, Brother Farid. Do you agree and understand that it's not just about sanad? Of course, even among us, where Shias have misunderstanding, they think we only have sanad. We have ilm al-diraya as well. We analyze the matan as well. But Shias have some next level funny rules. In fact, despicable one, and I haven't even mentioned them. That based on these qawa'id, they accept and reject rituals and hadith and beliefs. And not the way you see it. Sanad sahih, good. Sanad not sahih, I can't use it against the Shia. Not like that. It's not like that. Tafaddal.
Okay, so in regards to the qara'in that are used in order to authenticate and reject the hadith, these are pretty much baseless. I've read, there's this book, it's quite an interesting book by Ahmed al-Akwash. Let me just check out the name of the book 1 sec. It's right here. Okay, it's Ilm al-Rijal al-Shi'i by Ahmed al-Akwash. Okay, and the author in the book, what does he do is he lists out the qara'in that are used to determine if a hadith is authentic or weak. And those that say this, or those that lean towards the Akhbari manhaj, those Sulis don't really seem to use this much. And I know what you're going to say. I know what the qara'in are. So things like that go against, for example, a narration that goes against Ahl Sunnah, for example, is one qara'in that hadith is authentic. These qara'in, akhi, when you look into them, when you study them, you find out they're to be honest, BS qara'in. They don't really have much weight. They really do seem to follow a more objective standard. When I'm talking about usulis, and of course, what are usulis? They're 90%, more than 90% of the Shi'is today are usulis. And I believe that's, if they have a specific set of standards, we should treat them according to that specific set of standards. If you're going to use a narration from one of their books, it better not be a fabricated narration. It better not be a narration that does not have a chain. It better be a narration that is authentic. And here's the thing. Sure, the number of authentic narrations are fewer than the number of weak and fabricated narrations. That's not the issue. The issue is, if people have a specific standard, then if you're going to debate them, you should be using that specific standard against them. You shouldn't be being extremely lax, because here's the thing. We have Sunnis as well that don't care about asanid, and we say the same thing. We say these people don't represent us. Their standards are subjective, and them accepting all ahadith and them being loose and lenient and accepting fabrications here and there doesn't mean that a Shia can use the same thing against us. So this is my objective standard, and I believe it should be, the standard that anyone who's into polemics should be using. تفضل.
طيب شكرا جزيلا. طيب, I say you have to differentiate, you and the respected viewers, between hadith and a belief or set of beliefs or rituals. For example, I give you a particular example, or more than one, but let's start with one. The belief about certain rituals, for example, that include self-flagellation. You mukhalif the Shi'i, and I've studied this, akhi. I have read the fatwa from the Shirazi camp, from the Wilad Faqih camp, and the pro-Khomeini Khamenei camp. I've watched the lectures in Arabic and Farsi from the Shirazis and other scholars. Akhi, they have their own principles. They say, for example, it doesn't matter that this hadith or that hadith is weak with regards to self-beating, self-flagellation, and other, savage rituals that they attribute to Ahlul Bayt. They say there might be the sanad weak here and there, but it is accepted by our elders, our qudama, mutaqaddimin, our early scholars have approved this ritual, have approved that belief. Do you understand? If you say, yes, akhi, look, we have to be fair and not use weak, da'if hadith against them, I say, fair enough. Fair enough. Of course, we don't throw absolute fabric. 1 second, I'm going to be back.
Okay, someone's calling you? Yeah. All right. Honey, take it away, akhi. Got any comments so far? Hassan's going to be back in a sec.
Oh, I'm sure he will. Wallahi, for me, the weak hadith, using it generally depends
I think Hassan ran away, by the way. Hassan couldn't take the pressure, couldn't take the heat.
Escape.
Yeah. It was like someone who was here a couple of days ago, This guy who came a couple of days ago. It was our turn to ask him some questions, and he bounced.
No, only he asks. Because if he asks, he couldn't even prove what he's accusing. Well, that's a different deal.
Hassan took a page out of his book.
Yeah.
So the guys in the comments are saying Farid wins. Khalas. Shemrani is running from the debate. Okay, go on. Sorry about that.
No, I'm just saying that it depends on what is being discussed. If what is being discussed is history, is different, then what is being discussed is fiqh is different. And if what is being discussed are sensitive aqa'id, is very different. When it comes to history, weak ahadith can do the trick as long as they don't conflict with what is authentic. And you could use them for details. So let's say there's a sahih hadith saying that there's a battle that took place. And then there's a weak hadith saying that this battle happened on the 15th day. So there's no other hadith that conflict with that. You take that as a detail. Similarly, if you know, like, wallahi, Ja'far ibn Abi Talib, let's say we have all authentic narrations proving that this is a pious man, this is a good man. If there's a weak hadith out there saying that he was a drunkard or something, we wouldn't accept that because it goes against what is authentic from this man's character and whatnot. So that is history, fiqh and whatnot. You need authentic hadith as well to prove it, and weak hadith can be used for support.
Hello.
But for aqidah, I wouldn't even rely on the sahih hadith much when it comes to really sensitive aqidah issues. So yeah, go ahead.
Hassan, there's a rumor in the comments that you ran away, akhi. They couldn't take the pressure.
No, I just received a call. Can I continue what I said?
Please go on.
So if it's about, as I said, it depends on the mukhalif. And the mukhalif knows these things better. Shias themselves criticize among themselves those who they say are extremists with rijal, right? And even amongst us, this phenomenon exists to a certain extent. You know, some scholars criticize others who do not look at the matan at all. Although Ahl Sunnah have their ilm of both. The Ahl Sunnah have ilm al-daraya, Ahl Sunnah look at the matan, Ahl Sunnah look at the sanad. We have examples, and I was very amazed, subhanAllah, when I studied these things years ago. There was this example of in Bukhari or Muslim, hadith sahih. The text, the sanad, there's no problem. But the lafz is problematic. The rawi must have made a mistake because the apparent would be something that is opposed to the usul. So Ibn Uthaymeen, rahimahullah, I remember, he said, this must be a mistake of the rawi here. So, subhanAllah, he looked at the matan. And that's what the ulama of Ahl Sunnah do. Anyway, as I said, yes, we do not quote fabrications and weak narrations for our mukhalif. But what you guys must understand, especially you, Farid, the mukhalif I give you an example. Let's say the third shahada, yeah? The third shahada in adhan, okay?
Okay.
This is a very good example. The third shahada in the adhan, me and you have witnessed it. This is a good example, inshallah. Me and you have witnessed it online, the Shias, the Rijali type of Shias, the Salafi type of Shias, who tried to purify Shiism, impossible act, because the asl of Shiism is mafsada, it's fisad, who tried to purify it from a lot of khurafat and shirkiyat and dalalat, the likes of Nadir and others on Shia chat. What did they do? They tried to weaken here and there. They said it's weak. Aslan, let's say all the narrations about the Shadu and which they are, of course, are fabrications and weak. But here's the thing, Akhi Farid. You say, as far as I understood, hey, don't bring the narration in their books from whatever, from Bihar and any other source, where it said that, the third Shahada, the Prophet said it, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he told Bilal to say it on the day of Ghadir, and other Hindi Bollywood style fabrications. You say, if you say this, then I harshly oppose you, and everybody must oppose you. What is that? If you say, and this is extremism in itself when it comes to Rijal, I believe. If you say, look, but all the narrations are weak, Hassan. Why do we bring the hadith about Shias have innovated free adhans? If it's weak, the sanad in the books. Here's the answer. Because we do not judge a madhab just based on the sanad, that you have found out that the sanads are weak. Or a minority among them, some online cyber Shi'is, Nadir, Zawari, and some other completely unknown scholars of them, Ar-Radhi, and I don't know, in Qatif or wherever he is, he weakens it. We look also at the thaqafa. We look at the overall, and when I say thaqafa, the Shi'i culture, I don't mean folklore, yeah? I don't mean some layman Shias who do anything and attribute it. No, We look, what is the stance of the madhab? What do we see, Farid? Huh? Every marja, except maybe even the tiny minority, the likes of Fadlullah, they make takfir on him. Not just based on this, but on other things. Every known marja, from the Shirazi camp, to the Khamenei camp, to the Rouhani camp, to the Khurasani camp, approved this khurafa, approved this hideous bid'ah of including the third Shahada, with numerous excuses. Sistani says as long as you don't do it with the niyyah, that is part of it.
Hani, cut him off, man. He's talking too much, man. He's talking too much, Hani.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to cut you off either way because I'm getting off. I have to leave now, but this is definitely fun. Well, I'll be sure to watch the rest of this, inshallah. Yalla, assalamu alaikum, guys.
Alaikum assalam. Let me just point something out, man.
Farid, answer my question. Are you saying, do you go...
تفضل.
Answer this question. Do you go as far as to say, no, we're not going to show narrations, we're not going to educate the masses, we're not going to tell them, A'udhu Billah, look, these Zanadiqa have even played with the adhan and included something that even some of the early scholars rejected? Would you say we do not use these narrations because they have here and there weakness, although it is fully sanctified by the mujtahideen, most mujtahideen, in the thaqafa, in the hawzat, by their learned ones? Yes or no?
All right, I'm going to comment on this specific topic. Since you brought this specific example, I will respond to you about this specific example. Why would I use, in the first place, why would I use the hadith of the Shahada Thalitha, Ashhadu anna Aliyan Waliyullah, in the adhan against a Shi'i? Why would I even use that? Why would I use it against a Shi'i?
Allahu Akbar, ya Rajul, ya Rayal. Why would you use it?
Why?
What you have your style, I have my style. I, of course, wouldn't use it in the first place for a Shi'i. You know my niyyah and my da'wah, how I do da'wah. You know that my da'wah is mainly aimed at Ahlul Sunnah. I would use it for Ahlul Sunnah, for the masses of Ahlul Sunnah, to the universities I go, to the countries I visit, inshallah, and everything, and say to them, look, this is tashayyu'. This is the problem of this sect, is that it is inheritedly khurafi, superstitious, bid'i in its essence. So that something that some of them early scholars like Saduq, because people need to know, we have to be fair. Some of the early scholars like Sheikh Saduq said that this, adding the third Shahada, is a bid'ah from the Ghulat Mufawwidha. Mufawwidha in their madhab stands for the Ghulat, those who exaggerated with Ali, yani attributed divinity to Ali. So some of the scholars had some aql, some intellect left in them, and rejected this practice, to the point that they admitted that this is from the Ghulat. Now, what is the reality of the madhab today? It has become part of the mainstream, part of all the mujtahideen. At the very least, we can say 99% of the mujtahideen. So this is how I would do it. Now, but if you say, why would I, Farid, use it? Well, to hold it in front of the eyes of the Shia and say to him, look at this. Your madhab, the reality of your madhab, the waqia of your madhab, the fasad, the corruption has reached an extent that something that is a hideous bid'ah of the ghulat, of the mufawwidha, those people who are cursed, as Saduq said, has become mainstream. Yani in Karbala, where Al-Hussein alayhi salam is buried, my Shia friend, people are doing one of the most hideous bid'ah that Saduq said these people are cursed to do it. And then you ask me, why would I show it to a Shia friend? What about showing it to him to wake him up? What about showing it to your friend who is from Najaf to say to him, brother, is this following the Sunnah? Is this respect to Ali bin Abi Talib? Playing with the adhan based on some shallow evidences? This is why you should. This is when you would choose the Shia.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hi, Abu al-Abbas. Abu al-Abbas, you just came in the middle of the debate. I'm debating Hassan on the topic of الاحتجاج بالحديث الضعيف على المخالف. Interesting?
أبو العباس روح إلى شيدي شادي يا أخي. روح.
Allah.
All right, Hassan, here's my response, akhi, to what you said. I would not use. Abu Abbas, please mute the mic when you're not speaking because there's a slight echo, Habibi. All right, Hassan, I would not use this hadith against Shias. I wouldn't use the hadith of Shahada Thalatha against Shias. I wouldn't use the Shahada Thalatha fil Adhan against Shias. Why? Because it's not Sahih. I would tell the Shi'i, Habibi, this narration in your book about Shahada Thalatha fil Adhan, it's la'if. Look, this is la'if. This is la'if. This is la'if. Where did you get the Shahada Thalatha from? This is what I would do. Inshallah, that's clear. And then I will say what you said. I will say what you said. The Saduq says this is what the Ghulat added. I will say this. I will not use this as a hujjah against them. I will not use this as a hujjah against them. The hujjah against them, all right, is that they are following a weak hadith, a hadith that should not be accepted. That's the hujjah that's used against them.
That's why they call you the hadith guy. Look, Allah yasallamak. The hadith is so the same. We are saying basically the same in other words. You say to him, don't follow this hadith. It is weak. I say to them, this hadith is not just weak. It's an obvious fabrication aslan to me. My dear Shia friend, it is even weak according to your madhab. In reality, but it is a fact. I know, because look, I don't want to waste my time. It's about wasting time, akhi. It's about you, as I mentioned earlier, looking through the lens of a Sunni. You can't just, I give you the example. I used to be a Shia, akhi. You think you can beat me in this? If you would come to me 15 years ago, before 2013, when was this? How many years? Anyway, you came to me before 2003 and said to me, akhi, يا عبد الحسين حسن ibn Abdul Hussein أشهد أن علي ولي الله. Do you know that all the narrations the sanad is weak? You know what I would have done? Do you know that, yes or no? I would go like all Shias, like unfortunately they're gullible. The Marja'iyah is like a mafia, it's blind taqlid in these matters of fiqh. I would go to my marja, I would do my research, even if I would be fluent in Arabic back then. In either case, I would read something from the authorities, the Maraja and whatnot, and the scholars, and they would say, yeah, despite the weakness, our ulama have taken the qara'in, the supportive evidences, they have taken into, what do you call it in English? They have taken into account. They have taken into account how our elders, our Maraja have approved it. They have taken into account that numerous weak narrations strengthen each other, blah, blah, blah. Point is, Akhil Karim, you have to understand the psyche of the Shi'i. The Shi'i will say, hey Wahhabi, hey Bakri, this is being said in Karbala, Najaf, Qom, everybody's doing a bid'ah or what? So of course, using this hadith against them, a Shi'i, is one thing, or using it against a Sunni is another thing. If I use it for a Sunni, I want to show him the superstitious and bid'i reality of Shiism. If I show this all weak hadith to a Shi'i, it will not be enough, the weakness. And I've just proven it to you. Because I need to go deeper, dig deeper, and say to him, look, even some of your early scholars who know, I'm not saying Saduq was upright and, he was orthodox. The whole problem of this false religion is wilaya. Mark bar asli wilayat faqih. Deaf to the very asl of this religion, which is wilaya. When we say in Farsi, we say mark bar asli wilayat faqih. Deaf to the
Abu Abbas, you need to moderate this, man. Hassan, he's taking up all my time, Yahi.
Is there a specific time you guys are?
As soon as you get bored, you get tired of Hassan speaking too much, then you get to cut him off.
But how about this? I want to introduce a question that's related to your debate. Maybe you guys can both have your take on it. How about that?
You're breaking up, man. There's this crackling sound.
Okay, can you hear me now?
It's still crackling.
Okay, let me just take care of this issue and I'll get back. Okay.
All right. Hello, Hassan. Is everything all right, akhi?
Yeah, I'm all right.
Okay. طيب, I'm going to briefly respond to what you said. That's still crackling, guys. In the comments, is it crackling with Abu al-Abbas, or is it fine? Hassan, can you hear a crackling from Abu al-Abbas's mic, or is it all right?
Can you hear me, Habib Hassan?
Yes, his mic is very bad. Whatever. Yes, it's very bad.
Okay, I'll change it and I'll be back.
All right. Okay. Yeah, everyone says it's crackling. طيب, Hassan.
Farid, listen.
طيب.
Farid, did you understand now my point? My point is, yes, we do not listen. You have to get my You have to get my methodology correct. Yes, I fully agree with you. We should only use Sahih narrations against them. However, when it comes to rituals and set of beliefs that are already been accepted by them, despite the weakness, then it is not enough to just point out the weakness of the narration, or let alone being, as you said, being prevented from doing so in the first place. Do you understand? So,
well, okay. So here's my response. Okay, I wouldn't say to a Shia if the hadith is weak, and it's a ritual for him. I wouldn't say, "Shuf ya Shia, this hadith is weak, and this is hujjah against you." And I don't get the hikmah behind this. I would say you're following a ritual, and the hadith is weak, and your maraja are wrong, and the hadith doesn't even have a chain, or the hadith has a kadhab. All right, the marja you're following is, and there will always be a marja. All right, you have some softy marja or something. You have someone like Fadlallah. You have someone like Muhammad Asif Muhsini. You'll have someone that will say the hadith is daif, and that will say that the practice is incorrect. So it's not like it's restricted in all the maraja. There's an ijma' amongst all the maraja. And this is, of course, a problem with the Shi'is and a lot of laymen from the Shias, that they're not familiar with some of the other maraja that will have opinions that differ from the traditional or more orthodox tashayyu'. However, they should be looking this up. They should be learning this. And I don't believe it's that hard to prove. I don't believe it's that hard to show them that they're following weak things, which is why when Nader was presenting his material, Nader Zavari on Shia Chat, you had Shias accepting what he was saying. Of course, you had some Shias that hated him, but you had some Shias accepting what he was saying and then completely agreeing with what he was doing due to his academic methodology.
Alhamdulillah, good.
Alhamdulillah.
You guys hear me?
It's much better, Abu Abbas.
Alhamdulillah, I got another mic. Okay, I want to ask you guys both a question. I don't know if you addressed it yet or not. When we're debating, an idea or a group of people, we try to have one standard, and double standards are very problematic. I think we can all agree with that. Okay, so what will guarantee you that when you start using weak Shia hadiths against them, that they don't do the same thing against you? Because it's only fair enough that they do that.
I agree. Hassan, that's for you, man.
As I said, it is not about, this is already agreed. The asl is that we use authentic narrations against them. Of course we do. We use authentic narrations against them. Of course we do. However, what you both must understand, both of you who are not from a Shia background, is that Shiism is not just based on authentic hadith. This is not Salafiyah. This is not the Rijali school of Shia Ithna Ashariya. Shiism is based, especially modern day post-Safavid Shiism, is based on a set of beliefs and a set of rituals that are indeed based on weak and often fabricated narrations.
So Hassan, here's a question. Sorry to cut you off, man, but just so we can get somewhere. Is there such a thing as a more orthodox, more correct tashayyu', more original tashayyu'? Is there such a thing as that?
Sorry? Repeat your question.
Is there such a thing as an orthodox 12-er fiqh or 12-er aqidah? Is there such a thing as that?
Well, technically, yeah. The more But you know that, as the scholars say, if we would strictly apply, yeah, there's the irony. Yes, there is. But if you do that, if you apply the rijal properly, as their own scholars said, then the religion راح يسقط.
ما في مشكلة.
The religion will
ما في مشكلة.
fall. The religion will fall.
ما في مشكلة. Let's assume that's the case. If
Look, أخي Farid, this.
If
Look,
if an orthodox tashayyu does exist, all right, and wallahu a'lam, all right, but let's say this orthodox tashayyu does exist in the mind of a Shi'i at least. When that's the case, you know, a Shi'i should be able to return to that with a methodology, even if he goes against the common views that are available today amongst the maraja. If tomorrow someone comes up with a new ritual that's baseless, you know, I of course we could use that against them in the sense that this is not based on any sahih narration. It's not based on anything that's tangible.
I don't disagree. Look, this is the misunderstanding between me and you is because you're mixing two things up. There's one thing to agree to use as a general qaida, authentic narrations against them and not fabricated ones. I already agreed, of course. This is one thing. But the second thing is, and I'm talking specifically when doing da'wah to Amatun Nas, not specifically to a Shi'i, Amatun Nas, in particular Ahl Sunnah. When I'm talking to the masses of Ahl Sunnah, and look, akhi, I give you a particular example. Please listen carefully. If I do da'wah to Amatun Nas, to the generality of the people, in particular Muslims, Ahl Sunnah wa Jama'ah, and I talk, for example, about bid'ah and how Rafidism gets worse and worse after every decade and extremely worse after every century, and I bring as an example this third Shahada that was, especially in post-Safavid Iran, Persia, it became more and more mainstream. So if I bring this as an example to show to people, to the awam of the Muslimin, that this is the reality of the madhab, I say someone like you shouldn't object then and say, for example, you sit in the hall and say, oh, excuse me, Mr. Shemrani, but you know all the hadiths are weak. It doesn't matter because we are talking about the waqiyah of the reality of a sect. Your example is a different example. You're talking about making da'wah to a Shi'i or a group of Shi'is and encouraging them to leave the bid'ah by telling them that the hadith is weak. Yes, agreed. In that scenario, you act that way. And because the Ahl Sunnah, to them, it is not my hadaf to tell the Ahl Sunnah, you know, actually the hadith is weak to them. This is not the karitha here. This is not the musibah here. This is not the mushkila, the problem here. The Ahl Sunnah need to be informed that look where bid'ah and dalalat and ghulu, extremism with Ahl al-Bayt have taken them. Do you understand the difference between the two approaches?
It's clear, but what I would say is I would tell a Sunni, look at the rituals. I wouldn't even point at the hadith. I wouldn't point at the weak hadith. I would say, look at these rituals. This is how far they've become. They're following something that's unjustified in their own works. That's what I would say. And to the Shia, I would say you're following something baseless. You're following something baseless that has no asas, and your ulama are justifying it for absolutely no reason.
SubhanAllah, you see, it's as I said, our difference that we have much more in common than we have differences. It's just, I think, word choices. And at the end of the day, we mean the same because we agree on the basis that we have to be academic and fair. We cannot use weak or fabricate narrations. But I have a question for you, Farid.
Yeah.
You know the beautiful website nahjulbalagha.net?
Yeah.
You wouldn't mind if I say who set up the website, right?
Of course not.
So this beautiful website, brothers and sisters, that you should visit, nahjulbalagha.net, is a project of course, 12shia.net, but the one-man army behind this website is here our beautiful brother in Islam, Farid. May Allah reward him. I remember when we discussed this website, Akhi, and this material, I explained to Farid, and he knows this, of course. I said, look, to the Shia mentality, Nahj al-Balagha is the Bible of the Rafida. And this itself, yani, is the most revered book after the Quran, and it is. You know that they call it the brother. What they call it? They call it the brother of the Quran. Sometimes they call it the cousin of the Quran. I don't know. The Quran is brother, cousin, sister, uncle, father-in-law. I don't know, but they call it these things. And scholars, how much they revive that book, and revere that book. Here's my question to you, Farid. You know the narration Shaqshaqiyya, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Shaqshaqiyya narration, the famous narration where Ali, a'udhu billah, Ali is portrayed as some, Faragurrat. Ali can control the universe and everything. Ali is the line of Allah. His sword breaks the planet in two parts. But he waits like a little girl, and Abu Bakr, I'm better than Abu Bakr. A'udhu billah, Ali alayhi salam radiyallahu anhu, I'm not insulting him. They insult him in the narration. Anyway, Shaqshaqiyya narration, Ali complains about, he should be the rightful Khalifa. The hadith Aslan doesn't prove Imamah because he doesn't talk about being appointed by Allah. He just say, I'm more deserveful of being the Imam. Anyway, that narration is narrated by a Nasibi. So by their standards, and kafir, someone who is, Ahl al-Bid'ah is a kafir. Ikrama is a kafir to them. But as you know and I know, here's my question to you, Brother Farid. Isn't it that Khutbah Shaqshaqiyya is so widely known that every average Shia who is slightly religious and knows anything about polemics is aware of that narration? Yes or no?
The way I would approach, if you don't mind, please mute the mic, Akhi.
But you didn't answer my question, Akhi.
Hey, mute the mic so I can answer it. Okay. The way I would approach Khutbah Shaqshaqiyya is I would point out very clearly that, sure, every Shia knows Khutbah Shaqshaqiyya. Every Shia uses Khutbah Shaqshaqiyya. I think our, the obligation upon us is to show to them that Khutbah Shaqshaqiyya, according to their standards, is not authentic. According to their maraja, it's not authentic. Of course, not all their maraja, but they're more objective maraja. It's not authentic. And not only that, the maraja in general don't accept everything in Nahj al-Balagha as authentic. And by creating this awareness, they stop using this. They stop using these fabrications against us. That's pretty much it. Tafadhal. Please unmute your mic, Akhi.
I didn't want to discuss actually the khutbah. What I meant is, look, Khutbah Shaqshaqiyya is so widespread among them, and it's so known that every average Shi'i who is slightly religious heard about it. And it's used in their hawzat, in their books of debate, and I don't know, then I was guided by Tijani and Muraja'at probably. There is no book almost where they will fail to mention it as a hujjah. So it has become a hujjah of their madhab against us, according to them. They think so. All right, this is a reality, bro. We have to be waqi'iyyin. We have to be living in a reality. So if you say you would approach them and say, Aslan, this is weak, has no sanad, again, I don't disagree. You see, you didn't get my point. I don't disagree with doing that step, telling the Shi'i, hey, this is Aslan not sahih. But I say, if I were, or any Sunni were to bring, for example, إنما الشورى للمهاجرين والأنصار. The khutbah about that shura belongs to Muhajirin and Ansar, right?
Yeah.
إنما حرف حصر, verily only. So if I were now to bring this, would you come to me and say then, the sanad has a problem, yes or no? Tell me.
Yeah, I would.
You would.
Yep.
The thing is, I would say, in response to you, why would we care in this particular case for the
Hassan? Abbas, you still here?
Yeah, I'm there. I got you.
Where did Hassan go, ya akhi?
Allah yastar. Let's hope he's
He
driving,
felt
right?
the heat. He felt the heat, man. He felt the heat.
Yeah, akhi, no one can stand a chance in front of you.
Habibi.
Subhanallah.
Yeah.
So what stemmed this whole debate, this whole discussion?
He lasted longer than Shadi, though, right? So I gotta give him props, for that.
I agree. When you said I'm debating Hassan, I thought I'm debating Hassan Raza. I'm like, mashallah.
I don't know who Hassan Raza is.
Some Shia guy on the internet. Nevertheless.
Okay.
So what caused this whole debate / discussion?
Yeah, me and Hassan, we disagree on methodologies from time to time. It was something that needed to be raised. I don't know, is he messaging me? Let me just check if he's messaging me.
All right.
The
thing is, I mean, the debate will also vary depending on if you're talking to usuliyya or akhbariyya, right?
We agreed upon this, but I was saying that if there is a methodology, if a methodology truly does exist, and there is an orthodox tashayyu', and there is an objective method of arriving at at the orthodox tashayyu', and by the way, remember, Lusuliyin, they're 90% of Shias, if not more. Then why would you use a flimsy methodology? Aslan, the akhbari methodology is BS, their whole you accept the hadith based on Quran is BS. They don't have Quran, man. They act like they have Quran. They don't have Quran. I've studied this,
No.
Yeah.
I mean, they claim that it was authored during the time of the Mahdi and I don't know what. They have no indicators. That's true.
Hassan is officially off. All right.
Allah yahfazah. He's driving, right?
I hope he's all right, man. I hope he's all right. Well, I guess we should move on to the second part of this discussion. By the way, guys, folks who are in the comment section, if you have any questions, do ask now. Abu al-Abbas is here. If you have anything, in general, if you have questions about the discussion between Abu al-Abbas and Shadi, anything that you'd like to clear up, any questions on your mind, please ask now while Abu al-Abbas is here. It was quite an interesting and slightly complicated topic that he discussed. So please go on ahead. Let's give these guys a few, some time.
Hello?
Hassan is back.
I can't hear you.
How about now? Hello.
Your voice is very low. I can't hear you.
I think it's from your part, Hassan.
I can't hear none of you guys.
Try unplugging the mic and plugging it back in.
I don't have a mic. So loudspeaker. Hello?
Shake the phone around.
Yeah. Now it's good.
Okay. But you asked me, would I use that narration of
let's make it easier. Let's make it short. Is there anything that you disagree with me, and what is it?
This right now, this topic right now, you said, would you use this hadith of Shura al-Muhajirin wal-Ansar? I told you I wouldn't use it because it's a weak hadith. Yeah, I wouldn't use it.
Okay, you wouldn't use it as a supportive evidence for your case against them, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't use it.
Okay, my question is here then. I would say, of course, it depends on the Shi'i. If I meet the Shi'i who has become suddenly apologetic, suddenly he becomes usuli, because normally they're not. I saw that one of the lectures of Yas al-Habib and Khabith, and then suddenly he said, yeah, but this is weak anyway. Okay. If I'm confronted with a Shi'i who says this is weak, then so I say to him, so Nahj al-Balagha has weak narrations, right? So okay, then stop calling it the brother, uncle, or sister of the problem. But Akhi Farid, Akhi Farid, I'm talking in the case, the awam case, the normal case, the general case, where Nahj al-Balagha is made, they make full ta'zim of Nahj al-Balagha. It has become like a Bible, the Rafidi Bible. And what would you do in a situation where the Shi'i person in front of you, to him Nahj al-Balagha are the words of Ali, full stop. So then you would still not use something which your Mukhalif himself accepts?
In response to this, yes, I still wouldn't use something that my Mukhalif would accept, because there is a Mukhalif next to him or behind him or way down back in the line who actually knows what's going on, who actually can differentiate between weak and authentic hadiths. And I'm going to be ready for him because I have another authentic narration from Nahj al-Balagha that he doesn't like.
Yeah, but if we go that route, there will always be a Shi'i and another Mukhalif who will have an answer, will answer that answer of that answer and weaken that one.
No. That's not true. That's not true.
So
please mute the mic, Akhi. Sorry, man. Okay, Hassan, Shi'i Rijal and Shi'i al-Hadith is quite simple. It really is quite simple. There are a lot of asanid that are, let's not say a lot. There are a bunch of Shi'i asanid that repeat themselves a lot and can be found a lot, and you can just tell by looking at them that they're authentic, and they're accepted by all Shi'is, and those are sufficient. And the Shia will gladly smile and accept them, no matter what. So I wouldn't have too much trouble limiting my sources. You see, you have this many evidences that you could grab and toss against them. I would have this many. I would have a smaller number. However, this stuff that I toss against them are more acceptable, and they're acceptable to all of them. And they would have to do some ta'wil. They would have to find another way. Maybe someone would argue taqiyya or something like that. However, this stuff, this small amount of material that I'm going to toss against them, they will not be rejecting this due to the weakness.
No, Akhi, you're the problem. The problem is your background and that you're not familiar with the Shi'i psyche and society where I grew up. You underestimate. You have knowledge. There's no doubt, and you are an expert of refuting the sect, and there's no doubt. But there's certain things you can't learn, which is the psyche of them, how they view things, what position certain things have to them in their society. I believe that only someone like me can do that because I was one with them and lived with them. For example, the way you dismiss Nahj al-Balagha, no, I wouldn't do that, I don't need it. You do not understand that when my auntie, when my uncle, when my fulan from my family, when I gave them a little booklet from Saudi Arabia translated in Farsi, which they hand out there, may Allah reward them. Let's reread Nahj al-Balagha. It's a little booklet, yeah, Farid? Yeah? It's a little booklet, small book. Let's reread Nahj al-Balagha. It is aimed at who? It is aimed at the emotional Shi'i who can't let go at this early stage at Nahj al-Balagha and become a hadithist like Farid, to analyze the sanad and say, oh no, let's drop this one. He is very, very influenced by Nahj al-Balagha. So the first step to help the Shi'i, to give him a helping hand, to dragging out of this cesspool of tashayyu and rafd and shirk and zandaq and khurafat and bid'ah and dalalat, is to give him a helping hand and to remind him that, my Shi'i friend, I don't want bad and evil for you. Do you know that this very Nahj al-Balagha that you hold so high, that very book is in reality Zaydi in its essence, i.e. very soft Shi'i in its essence. And even if you would believe in all of this book, you should actually abandon many 12 beliefs, my dear Shi'i 12 friend. For example, إِنَّمَا الشُّورَى لِلْمُهَاجِرِينَ وَالْأَنصَارِ, i.e. like a Zaydi, you believe, well, Shura, Ansar, Ali said it and we accepted. Ali was more superior, but إِنَّمَا الشُّورَى لِلْمُهَاجِرِينَ وَالْأَنصَارِ, Ali said it, we accepted. Do you understand, Farid? This is about guidance, Akhi Farid. This is about helping people to leave their religion. You can't miss these situations. It's not about to fool people. It's not about to use useless narrations, weak narrations. It is about to work with what you have at that moment. Do you understand? This little book alone, books about in Farsi about let's reread Nahj al-Balagha, which is available in Farsi. These printed books and booklets alone have helped many Shias to leave the khurafat and shirki religion of Shiism and anti-Islam. So I only hope that you don't underestimate this. Do you understand? Maybe it's now clearer.
I do understand, but again, why would one use a mixture of strong in authentic reports when you have access to purely authentic reports?
It depends, Akhi Farid, on the situation, I said. I did not say that it's mutlaqan wrong what you do. I said it depends on the situation. Do you understand? There is a situation where my auntie, where my uncle, where my grandfather is very emotional and very has a bond with Nahjul Balagha. Do you understand? And then I have to take things gradually. Tadarrujan, we say in Arabic. So instead of tossing sanad and these things at him, saying, oh, you know what, actually all of this is weak, I look at the greater benefit. I say, the book of the shaitan, of the Zindiq Kafir al-Kulaini, is a book of ilhad and kufr and shirk. To drag my grandfather, grandmother, uncle, cousin away from this Sandaqa book, at least let him actually be affiliated with Nahjul Balagha and get Nahjul Balagha more known. So in order to do that, yes, Nahjul Balagha for him, even if the sanad is weak, because at the very least this person has a bond with that book and accepts everything in it, and many of the awam do it, and in fact many of the scholars do it, and that will help him to come closer to the truth. This is a method.
I understand the method, but I'm saying if you had 10 narrations from Nahj al-Balagha that you'd like to toss towards, toss against the Shia, and 9 were weak and 1 were authentic, why would you bother, tossing all 10 instead of just focusing on the, the 10% on that one, which is, clearly acceptable to everyone, or to every Shia?
Fair enough. It's only the few authentic ones. Fair enough. I'm talking really general. I'm talking about the average Shi'i that to him Nahjul Balagha are the words of Ali full stop. Nahjul Balagha is not Sahih wa Da'if Nahjul Balagha to him. Nahjul Balagha to him is Nahjul Balagha. You understand? Like when I talk to a Shi'i, when you talk to a Shi'i Da'wah when it comes to Kafi, they are more defensive. They say not everything in our books are weak, in our hadith books. Yeah. All right, no problem. Of course, I say yeah, all right. I prove to you. Yeah, Majlisi authenticated it, and in his Mir'at al-Uqul, for example, Ali washing his feet in wudu and whatnot. So again, of course, we agree. We use authentic hadith.
Tayyib, here's a question. This is, of course, very relevant.
And things depend on the situation. It's not always black and white. That's all I'm saying.
Hassan, here's a question. Here's a question to you. I'm sure we can agree there are maratib, there are levels of narrations. You say that Nahj al-Balagha is, the brother of the Quran, sister of the Quran, whatever. Of course, to many Shi'is. Do you feel that that's
No, I'm not saying it. I quoted. This is what many of the scholars.
I know. That's what they say. Now, here's the thing. Do you feel that using something from Nahj al-Balagha against them is similar to using a narration from Bihar al-Anwar without a chain against them?
Sorry, what was the question? Which one is stronger to use, or what was it?
No, it's not what was stronger to use, but do you feel that they're on the same level?
What?
A narration from Nahj al-Balagha, a weak narration from Nahj al-Balagha, or a random narration from Bihar al-Anwar that doesn't even have a chain?
The answer is very easy to this question.
Okay.
To a Shi'i, you ask what is stronger to him, what is more appealing to him?
Yeah.
Of course, it is Nahj al-Balagha.
Okay, great. Tayyib. Now, when you're using a narration against a Shi'i, now, of course, it's the best thing that we can use is an authentic narration, صح?
Of course, this is the ideal way.
Hello. Next. We agree to that. Then we can say after that, Nahj al-Balagha narrations. Then after that, narrations with a slight weakness. Then after that, weak narrations. Then after that, these mawdu'at from Bihar al-Anwar. Okay, Hassan's gone.
Allah musta'an.
Allah musta'an. He felt it was coming. He knew that I was gonna.
Wallahi, akhi, it seems like his hujjah was so strong, the internet couldn't handle it. His connection, burned.
All right, guys. I think inshallah يعني Hassan هلا.
Farid, as you were saying first we use, of course, Sahih, and then an alternative,
Yeah.
also Nahj al-Balagha, because this Taqdees is made, is venerated among them. It's a reality. It's not. This is not what I'm saying. Yes, I'm saying the same thing as you say. Yes.
Okay. Then let's say the lowest level of narrations is stuff in Bihar al-Anwar that doesn't even have a chain. Wouldn't you agree?
Generally,
it doesn't have a chain. It's an 11th century report without a chain.
Yes, generally, yes, I agree. But the waqia of this madhab is they have a lot of rituals. Now think away hadith, please. Think away hadith for a second. They have a lot of rituals, pagan rituals, actually based on mythical, pre-Islamic, Persian, Zoroastrian, Majusi, Sassanid origin. For example, the whole Hussein wailing thing is from Surush. Surush was one of the mythical figures that are not based on a Sahih Hadith, but out of the desperation, they will bring something from Bihar. So at that moment, I can't say to myself, you know what? Of course, I will say to them that Ittaqillah, Ittaqullah ya Jama'ah, your narration Bihar has no sanad. That's how I would deal with the Shia. Yes, Brother Farid, just like you. But to the Sunni, as you said, we agree more than we disagree. To the Sunni, I wouldn't even mention the one in Bihar. I would just show the khurafat and the bid'i and bid'ah rituals. So yes, I agree with you. It shouldn't no chain from Bihar. Yani, in 99% of the cases shouldn't be used, except maybe you want to show to the Shia, hey, it has no chain, right?
Mumtaz.
Yeah, but the thing is, I can't reveal because you, Dottie, you want me to reveal my upcoming project against Sharshabil.
Who's this Sharshabil يا حسن؟
شرشبيل هذا شو اسمه قرقم بالعربي شرشبيل مو
نعم صح.
I have an upcoming I have an upcoming project against Sharshabil. Those who are listening, that's not a quest for you. Find out what Sharshabil means in English, and then this is like you have to use the joker, or you have to email Imam Zaman to get to the answer. This is a little quest. We're gonna make a video against Sharshabil, and where Sharshabil defends some despicable, horrendous, shirky, polytheistic ritual based on some random narrations, but it has become part of the culture of his madhab. Salawat. Anyway, Brother Farid, Habibi, not bad. You see, so in the end of the day, me and you agree more than
we actually agreed.
Semantics, more.
There is some of that. Let's get to the
Arabic. How do you like my Persian Arabic?
It's good, mashallah.
I want to give you one line of I want to give you actually a fabrication in Persian Arabic. Should I give you?
Please.
I gotta give you one. قاتلوا أئمة الكفر. That's one. I'm gonna in Persian Arabic. قاتلوا أئمة الكفر عليه السلام. And yeah, there's so many, you you just need to listen to any of the Shirazis, they speak like as if like Persian rabbis. Anyway,
guys, the door is open to questions. Remember, guys, Abu Abbas is here. Any questions also related to the debate from 2 days ago, please ask up.
Farid, did you tell the people what you told us?
I can't. About what?
That guy, after he fled, obviously fled, and everybody's witness, God's sake. The Rafid are now playing again the Mazlumiyah, the victimhood card, game, saying, typical Salafis, Wahhabis, claiming victory, What do you mean claiming victory, subhanallah? This guy came in the middle of my speech. Well, I was talking. That was Farid's fault.
It's the first mistake.
Look, he interrupts me. In the middle of my talk, despite them, Farid lets him talk and let him talk, having a debate. Only thing was left, Farid buying him baklawa and tea. Wallahi, that was the only thing left. Only thing left, Farid sending him baklawa and tea. Yani the guy had all the time of the world, so much that he know there's nothing else to say. He lost it. So he left, he fled. But now Farid tell people what happened. What happened then 10 minutes after?
So what happened a few minutes after? Yeah, around 10 minutes after, Shadi came back in the comment section and he was saying that he has a gift. He wants to come back with a gift. Yeah, and it doesn't seem like he wanted to come back and accept questions, but he came back with a gift.
Have a gift.
Yeah. فطبعا the gift we're assuming is another response to Abu al-Abbas after the debate was done, after that he was done, and after he left, and after he didn't want to have to do anything with the topic. And remember guys who are watching this, Shadi had 4 syllogisms, 4 arguments that he had in his disposal, and he was supposed to bring all 4. He gave one, Abu al-Abbas shut him down, and then he was like, excuse me guys, I need to leave.
SubhanAllah. And the thing is,
maybe he just wanted to come back after 10 minutes and say, Barakallahu feekum.
The thing is,
excuse me, I need to charge my phone. I'll be back in a second.
All right, go for it. I was about to press him with some questions because I saw him commenting in the live chat, and he was trying to respond to what I was saying in the live session before he joined the call.
Right.
And he was talking about the essence of Allah, and I don't know if you remember, he used the word essence of Allah in his syllogism, but he didn't define what the essence actually is. And in the live session, in the comment, he said, oh, there is no definition. I was going to ask him, okay, how are you using a word you have no definition of against us in an argument? And subhanAllah, he ran away before I could ask him the question. So it was a bit annoying, but what can we do? Alhamdulillah. So Farid, can you hear us? Okay, I don't think he can hear us.
For a minute, he's charging.
خير إن شاء الله خير.
أخي.
Yes, يا شيخنا تفضل.
أنت شيخنا. So see, أخي, subhanallah. And then what do these people say on their social media and whatnot, and full damage mode. What do they say? Oh, these Salafis, these Wahhabis, childish, non-academical, claiming victory. If you wanted to claim victory, you say, the loser. We are not children. It's for everybody to see. We just named the video. It's not even my hand. I guess, I don't know, Farid, or is it the other ex-Shia brother? We named the video based on the waqa'ah of the video that the guy fled. Did the guy fled?
Definitely.
From Bay'at Ghadir, when he fled. SubhanAllah, imagine I'm in a debate with them, yeah, and it cuts off suddenly, I'm gone. Yeah, it's unfair to Hassan Shemrani.
It would be Hassan Shemrani fled?
No, wait, 1 second. Let's say I'm in a debate with them, it suddenly cuts off, everything, I'm gone completely. It would be unfair to say Hassan Shemrani fled because it's unclear. Did he go himself? Is electricity gone, or what's going on? Is it error? What is it? But in this case, it's clear to every listener, Muslim, that the guy had plenty of time. He could talk as much as he wanted. There was sometimes even silence. You seen? Sometimes it was like a minute of silence, a few seconds of silence. Then the guy said suddenly, that was it. I love you all. May Allah, it's taqiyya. I said that this khabith, I explained it to the brothers and sisters. Alhamdulillah, brothers and sisters who commented under the video, they said, "Thank you, brother Hassan. We knew that this is all taqiyya. This guy, I had chat exchanges with him. He cursed the Sahaba, Mu'min Aisha, accused her of everything you can imagine that I don't even want to repeat. So then he acted all again, taqiyya. Yeah, thank you very much for the time. May Allah guide us all. Guide us to what? To the dalalat of your wilayah. And then he left. So that all of us were completely shocked. Huh? Where the guy's gone? He fled.
The thing is, Hassan, I always say this, and I've said this to my family actually when they were asking me once about the Shia. And this holds true, subhanAllah, almost to every single debate they hold. The best thing they can do is instill doubts in the Sunni narrative, right? They can try their best to find reports in our books that support their theology. They try their best to find quotes from our scholars that may support or hint towards their theology. That's the best thing they can do, is instill doubts. However, when you let the canon face them and you actually start questioning their narrative, they can't affirm it. It's very hard for them to make their case. But the best thing they can do is doubt our case, and that's what's his name, the Blade Runner, in their first video, he told them, the best defense is an offense, and that's all they have. Really.
Yes. Their religion is, whatever is built upon falsehood is falsehood. Their religion is built upon falsehood. They know that. They know that if somebody asks him, "Excuse me, Mr. Shia, I'm Hassan Shemrani. I want to sit with you, Hassan al-Qadri. Bring me, this is Al-Furqan. Bring me your 3 strongest evidences from the Quran for Imam. Bring it to me." Well, what shall he say? Innama yuridullah? Bringing verses out of context, bringing mutashabihat? They know. They know they are muflisin. They know that. They know that. That's why they come adalat sahaba, and they have to.
Okay, guys, there's some questions here. One's directed to Abu Abbas. All right. Could you clarify the position of Ahl Sunnah on the Quran? So the Quran as speech of Allah is eternal, but the written text is created. Do I have it right? That's the question.
Okay. So first of all, the stance of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah is that the Quran is the speech of Allah. Every single Muslim agrees on this. Sunni, Ash'ari, Maturidi, we all agree on this. Then Ahl Sunnah, the correct stance is that Allah spoke the Quran and it started at a certain time. So it's not eternal. Right? And this can be seen in a lot of statements from our early scholars. So it has a starting point. It's not eternal. At the same time, there's no evidence to show that it's created, as the Mu'tazila have claimed. So it's not eternal and it's not created. So that's the Sunni stance. Is that enough?
I hope so. If there's any follow-up to that, I'll definitely read it to you.
Okay.
The brother's question, the ink and stuff, and this is something many awam don't know, and this is a good question what he asked. Of course, there, brother, the page numbers of the Quran. Allah didn't say page number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Allah didn't put the decoration around the Quran, and Allah didn't put certain mark or printed in Damascus, printed in Riyadh or Medina or Mecca. Do you understand? As a book form.
Printed in Al-Rida, لو سمحت.
Printed in Al-Rida by Al-Mutazilla.
Mutazalliya.
Al-Mutazalliya, approved by Al-Sadiq. So anyway, dear brother or sister, this is do you understand? The book form, the book itself is, of course, the material is something created, of course.
Yeah.
The speech of Allah is a sifa of Allah. It's created. Astaghfirullah, it's uncreated.
Yeah.
The speech of Allah is uncreated. The book is a book form. This is logic. You see, Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, subhanAllah.
Hassan, there's a question to you, Akhi.
Fadal.
Can you please ask Brother Hassan about Mullah Zada? We don't get to hear about him on YouTube. Apparently, the question is, how's he doing?
Mullah Zada, okay, very quickly. We have a short clip on our website, on our very website, where it's in a few minutes explained what happened. Al-Layari basically lied. He openly lied. Some of his followers openly said it, that he lied. They said, well, what is the lie? He said, we can debate Imam of the 12 Imams. I can prove the Imam of the 12 Imams with the name from the Quran. Basically, there was just a bait. You know that? SubhanAllah. Some of the followers commented here and there on social media and told me and others that was just a bait to get you to debate. SubhanAllah al-Azim. Yani, because there is no 12. Forget about 12. Taqi al-Naqi. La Ali wala Taqi al-Naqi wala ay shay. You know, there's no Abu Bakr literally sarih in the Quran, no Ali. You know. So that was a trick, and they speak of trickery. There was a bait for him to get us to respond. And he disbelieves in the Quran. He openly in his shows, in his Arabic shows, he disbelieves in the Quran. For him, our modern day Quran, the Quran, Kitabullah, to him is muhtaram but naqis. It's deficient, but it needs to be used because that's all we have. And the real Quran is with the Mahdi. That's the real Shia belief. He is a consistent 12er. He's exposing them. He's in a way a blessing. Yes, of course it's disgusting the things he says, but remember, guys, every bad thing has a good thing, isn't it? Yasal Khabith, these people, it hurts every believer when he hears things with them, and they're good. In another way, they are a blessing also. And they expose Rafidism to a level that, subhanAllah, another thing, Aslan Mu'ammimeen themselves, and the Iranian Revolution, in a sense, is a blessing. Do you know that in my country, nobody could have damaged the image of Shiism and their clergy and their Hawzat more than their own Hawzat and their clergy? Yani, in a way, Khomeini and their revolution and the clergy of Qom have done to Shiism what 1 million Hassan Shemranis couldn't have done.
You know, Hassan, that's in Iran, right? But in the Arab world, in Lebanon, in Syria, and in Iraq, and Bahrain, and Eastern, Saudi Arabia, they've really empowered Shiism, to be honest.
Irrelevant. Lish, I give you the answer. Irrelevant. Because the moment Iran falls, all those in Jebel Amel and where else who receive mullah benefits will be back to square one, the way they lived in the 60s and 70s. You understand? Once Iran falls, and every tyrant will fall. Oh, Bilat al-Faqih will never fall. Imam al-Zamana, Khamenei will hand the flag to Imam Zaman. Yeah. Go dream on. Same thing said about Khomeini.
Abu Abbas, this question is for you. Wouldn't the Shia then say, by the way, the first, guys, please mute the mics. Okay, so this one, first of all, the first answer was sufficient, but this is another question from someone else. Wouldn't the Shia then say, if the Quran was spoken at a certain time, that means we Ahl Sunnah believe it is created? So I think this question is about the difference between created and muhdath.
Yeah. So there's a logical fallacy. I forgot what it's called, which is
Hassan,
basically.
Hassan, please mute the mic, Hassan.
Yeah, it is. Sorry, just one thing. The questioner doesn't understand the difference between Mus'haf and Quran.
La. It's
No, it's not. Okay, so it's known in mantiq, and these are all metaphysical debates, by the way, that have really no basis in the Sunnah or in Amal al-Sahaba or in the Quran, but they're merely inferred through Aristotelian metaphysics. But nevertheless, if we want to defend our stance, we Ahl Sunnah really don't even address these matters. We only get involved to respond. But nevertheless, if we say everything that is makhluq is a hadith, everything that is created has a starting point. Everyone agrees on that. However, that does not mean that everything with a starting point is created. This is something that has not been proven, by the way. It sounds very weird, but it's not proven in logic. And so if we say all x is in y, that does not mean that everything in y is therefore x. So they can try to say that saying the Quran is not created means it's eternal, but that's a slippery slope. The conclusion does not follow from it. I think
Alright.
that should be enough.
If it's not, Angry Padu, let us know. Someone just asked me. I have a question. Farid mentioned that some Shia know the Rijal very well. Can he mention one of them and potentially try to debate them instead of people like Shadi? There's a few online that do know their stuff, but I'm not sure what the debate would be on. And those that are good with Rijal, I haven't seen them active on YouTube or anything like that. But there's some guys that are active on Shia chat. However, they don't seem to. Some of them are not into polemics. Some of them, I don't know. I haven't seen them active. In this, you know, in this YouTube age. It seems like it's just been like a year or so where people, Sunnis and Shias, have become all of a sudden active on YouTube. So I don't know if they'd even be up to that. But yeah, and one of them is Nader Zaveri. MashaAllah, he knows his stuff, and I don't know if he'd be open to debating some topics. Yeah, and MashaAllah, he was one of the better guys. All right. Hey, Abu Abbas, that's sufficient answer. Jazakallah khairan.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Seems like other questions. Oh, okay. It seems like the discussion has turned into a debate regarding Madkhalis stuff.
Yeah, subhanallah. I noticed that.
Hey, Golden Hawk. Hey, bro, what's up? Okay.
I'm Golden Hawk. He's my biggest fan, akhi.
We all love Golden Hawk.
He's my biggest fan, bro. If he
Yeah?
could, yeah. He always, I think he wants an autograph or something. I don't know.
Give him one, yeah.
Ya akhi, send him your barakat.
He wants to make tawassul for me. I'm a real Sayyid, eh? My mother, from father and mother's side.
MashaAllah. Debel Said, huh?
Super tawassul.
Is this
Super
a real Is it a real Sayyid or a Farsi Sayyid though?
I'm Abbasi from Bani Abbas, akhi. I'm a mutawakkil type of Sayyid. You know, I'm a mutawakkil type of Sayyid, the one who levels graves, if you know what I mean.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah.
Yeah. Mutawakkil.
Okay, here's one to you, Hassan, I guess. Here, Hassan, is your argument regarding weak hadith against Shia that it's okay to use in da'wah with laymen instead of an academic discussion?
No.
Is that your position?
No. Can I answer?
تفضل.
No, that's not my position. My position, I made it clear. I said always authentic narration should be used against Shias. It should be academic. However, if a Shia insists and believes and treats Nahj al-Balagha like the Christians treat the Bible, if the Nahj al-Balagha has become the Rafidi Bible, and it has become, at the very least in my country, I have experience, then I treat that individual Shi'i based on his methodology. If I ask him, so you accept Nahj al-Balagha? Of course I accept Nahj al-Balagha. This is from Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. All right. طيب. Ali says in Nahj al-Balagha that إنما الشورى للمهاجرين والأنصار. Ali said, and verily, Shura is for Muhajirin and Ansar. Whoever they chose is an Imam. Is an Imam. And that's the pledge of Allah. Okay. Then why don't you accept this? No, this is about giving hujjah against iltizam, against Muawiyah, blah, blah, blah. Next level apologetics, you know? But point is, it depends on the individual. As a general qaida, only Sahih Hadith. That's what I said and agreed with Farid. Don't misrepresent what I said. It's recorded.
Okay, so this is similar, I guess. Do the Shia, well, technically, do the Shia really reject the hadith in debate because it's weak? Don't they just reject it if they disagree? If you don't mind, I'd like to answer that one. Shias generally, and guys, please mute if you're not speaking. Shias generally, and this is very problematic, they will automatically, Hassan, if you don't mind, please mute the mic. All right, thanks. Jazakallah. Okay. What Shias do is when they are confronted with a hadith, they will hadith they don't like, they will automatically say, but we don't accept all our narrations. They won't say provide the chain. They won't say who authenticated it. They will often say, this is like 90% of the time, they will say, not all our narrations are authentic. And they expect you to accept that, and they expect you to back off because not all their narrations are authentic. So to answer your question, yes, they will generally reject something they disagree with. However, it's our job to say, La ya Shi'i, this narration is authentic according to your standards, according to your ulama, and you should accept it. And this is why. And all the narrators are reliable. And this narration was accepted by our ulama. So that's how it should be done. Inshallah, it's a sufficient answer. Hassan, this one's to you. Can you ask Hassan, does Mullah Zad al-Balushi have a YouTube channel? After Wisal TV, we never saw any videos from him. Does Hassan have any updates on him?
Yeah, Sheikh Al-Mutaz, rahimahullah. Rahimahullah. Yeah, rahimahullah. I did it live as well.
Is this like insider information? What's going on?
Barakallah fihi. And
I mean,
Sheikh Al-Mutaz is every day on air. Every day, mashallah. He's a one-man army. And yeah, if you write Tawheed TV in YouTube, Tawheed TV, TOHEED, Tawheed TV Farsi, something like that, you will see the channel. By the way, I wanted to comment on something. When Shias say not everything in our book is sahih, yeah?
mm-hmm.
The problem is the very culture of tashayyu', the thaqafa, which is a culture of the scholars going on the manabir and telling stories. They're storytellers. How many examples shall I give you? Shall I give you an example of Al-Muhajir who goes on a mimbar and says, I have holy chocolate here? I mean, it's funny, subhanAllah, because I laugh so much about these things that I can't anymore laugh about these things. I'm not talking about some random guy, a local Shia Husseiniya. Someone who sits right next to the shrine of Ali bin Abi Talib and says, I have holy chocolate here, Ahl Bayt chocolate. So you have to understand, their brother or sister who asked this question, the layman Shi'i is not brought up in a culture of حذر من البدعة وحث على السنة. He's not brought up on a culture where they are taught, stick to the sunnah, stay away from bid'ah. Where? As I always repeat, can you imagine, just imagine, it's like I can imagine, subhanAllah, you can imagine all kinds of all weird scientific, science fictional things. But I can't imagine, even in my dreams, a mu'ammam standing and saying, Inna alhamdulillah, all praise due to Allah. Oh, ibadallah, fear Allah, do not commit shirk, do not commit bid'ah. Doesn't make sense. So because they are not from this culture, the problem is that even some among them, and now Farid will shine and he will smile now. One of the scholars like Behboudi, who wrote Sahih al-Kafi. Wallah, if I say this now, Shias will say to me, Shemrani said Sahih al-Kafi. We don't have Sahih al-Kafi. You do have, or you had. One of your scholars tried to, according at least to his ijtihad, he was a mujtahid on his own level, to compile Sahih al-Kafi. You know what happened to him? He was attacked like as if he was a zindiq, as if he was a heretic. Wasn't it like that, Farid? He
was very much hated. Behboudi was very much hated, and I don't know if anyone made takfir of him or anything like that, but he was extremely.
I didn't say that. I said this. He was so harsh just because. I'll tell you why. The reason he was like that is because they knew that if this culture starts, where the scholars, some of the more reasonable scholars, start to filter the khurafat, there will be no Shiism left. They know They know where it ends. That's what the scholars in the past even said. If we apply our rijal strictly, there is no tashayyu left. There is no Rafidism left. There is no myth and lie and all these khurafat in the name of Ahlul Bayt who are wallahi innocent of them, alayhim assalam, left. That's the thing. That's what, brothers and sisters. That is why they're laymen, many of them are innocent. They say, this is just the scapegoat, you know, escape door gate. They say, oh, not everything in our book is sahih. But then where is the collection of your books that is sahih? You scholars are so lazy, can't they compile something sahih after 1,400 years? Where? We Ahl Sunnah have Sahih al-Tabari in Da'if al-Tabari. Do you know that? Some scholars have compiled Sahih narrations of al-Tabari in weekly. Even of our history books, we have something like that. And they're Kafi, where one of the scholars came to compile a Sahih version, they attacked him left, right, and center. You know why? Because how can someone like the Ayatollahs and the speakers and on these Ashura events where they come up with all these khurafat, how can they come up with all these stories if tomorrow the Shia mindset, the Shia youth will wake up and grab the guy by his neck on the minbar and say, hey, you, telling all these khurafat and dalalat, where do you got this from? Is it authentic? They don't want this culture. They don't want this culture. They want the culture where the laymen are obedient like sheep, gullible, and after every khurafa, every superstitious story, every kufri story, shout and approve with Allahumma ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. That's what they want. Wallahi, that's what they want. That is why they wage war against anybody who tries to bring in the culture of authenticating, filtering. They don't want to. They want that the awam say, Hadir, Sayyidina, oh Sayyid. It's a Bihar al-Anwar. Yeah, the scholars accept it. Be quiet. That's
you know, Hassan, the other thing is, that's a good point to bring up. The other point is,
I'm going to be back in a second.
Sure. They benefit from the ambiguity that's present in their sources, right? Because whenever you cite a report that could be authentic, we're not saying we're going to a random report in the book and just opening it and showing it in a debate. No, we're talking about, for example, a report you may present in their books. The first thing they will tell you is, we don't have Sahih books. Al-Kafi has a lot of weak hadiths. And this is what Goldhawk actually was saying in the comments earlier. And we understand this. This is called an ad hoc. It's just a general statement that is used to dismiss conclusions for a certain purpose. We're talking about reports that have been studied, analyzed before they've been presented. They always say, we don't have Sahih books. Is that not true, Farid, in debates? If you look at Mustaqillah,
all the time.
It's a red herring.
It's a major issue because why assume that the hadith that the Sunni is quoting against you is weak? Is it based on research, or is it just based on you not liking the narration? And this is something special with Ahl Sunnah. They accept what's for them and what's against them. And it seems like, and not only that, they narrate what's for them and what's against them, and they accept what's for them and what's against them. While with Tashayyu, in most cases, they do not really quote or do not really narrate what's against them much, and they almost never accept what's against them, sadly.
Yeah, subhanAllah.
Yeah.
There was a lot of filtering that happened, obviously, at certain stages in history. There are books that are lost. Maybe, who knows why they're lost? For multiple reasons. Maybe because they went against certain theologies they had. I don't know.
It's very possible. Wallahu alam. It's a shame. I really feel that if more Shia books were available, it would be a lot more problematic for Tashayyu. Because Hassan, please, if you're not speaking, please mute. Sorry, Habibi. Because if you look at the earlier books, if you look at Kitab al-Mahasin al-Barqi, all right, or
very simple.
Now Abu al-Abbas, there's an issue with the echo from your Habibi. If you look at Kitab al-Mahasin al-Barqi, if you look at Basar al-Darajat al-Safar, if you look at Qurb al-Isnad al-Himyari, if you look at Tafsir al-Qummi, look at the narrations in those books. and then look at the narrations in the books of Saduq, you find there's something going on there. There's a difference. Wallah, it feels different. And
Farid,
to me, that shows the evolution of Tashayyu'. So I wish there was more. Tafadhal, Hassan.
mashallah, you're the hadith guy. Akhi, even on a spiritual level, Sahifa Sajjadiyah, if you go to the average Salafi Ahl Sunnah website, they're asked, the scholars of Ahl Sunnah they're being asked about Sahifa Sajjadiyah. Attributed to who? To Imam Ali ibn al-Hussein ibn Ali ibn Abi Talib, alayhum as-salam, known as Zainul Abidin. The Salaf of his time, he's from our Salaf, praised him. And the Shia claimed that he's a fourth infallible Imam. Of course, he never made this claim, and we don't believe that. A book is attributed to him, right?
Yes. Ora Rasala.
Yeah. Sahifa al-Sajjadiyah. How you translate Sahifa? I don't know. The Sahifa, yani the papers, the Sajjadiyah. Yani or Sajjadiyah. Imam Sajjad's, yani dua book. So in most Salafi websites, Sunni websites, they state something very academical, and I've read it. They say the sanad can't be proven back to this individual. Simple as that. Nothing against Ahlul Bayt. Oh, just because it's Ahlul Bayt. No. SubhanAllah, we have a poem. That's the irony. There's a famous poem. Laysa al-Gharibu Gharib. We have a famous poem of Imam Ali ibn al-Hussein. They learn it in Sunni mosques. It's a beautiful poem. They're attributed to him. This particular book is not attributed to him. However, its content is beautiful. It's beautiful. It's tawheedi. And I have seen any problem with its content, right? I haven't seen any problem with its content. Now, late if at least Shias would focus on this book for the spirituality. You don't see once there Imam Zain al-Abidin calling upon other than Allah. Now they might say, yeah, he doesn't need to call upon other than Allah. He himself is a demigod. No, he doesn't instruct others to call upon other than Allah. No cursing on the Sahaba. Well, he praises the Sahaba. There is a dua where he says they did well. And Ali Nahj al-Balagha even. He says, I have never seen anybody like the companions of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Their sujood and so on. Yani in general terms, talks good about the Sahaba, just like the Quran. Yes, the Quran criticizes the Sahaba for the mistakes. It's normal because they were humans. But at the end of the day, as an entity, as a group of people, they're generally a good people, especially the foremost of them. So yes, I'm fully with that. I fully agree. The less khurafi, the more we can drag the people, the Shia people, to a less khurafi version of the Tashayyu', which these hamqa call batriya. That we have to talk about these things as well. What is the hadaf? What do you translate? How do you translate hadaf in English? Goal. What is the goal of these people who say, oh yeah, these are batriya, Fadlullah is a batri, Fadlullah, whoever doubts in the musibah of Fatima is an enemy of Allah. Why? Because they know people are waking up. They know Shias do research and will find out that these things, these stories and fairy tales are at best, based on some shaky historical narrations. At best. They know that. So I don't mind. I don't disagree at all that having a less khurafi, less superstitious, less kufri form of Twelverism is better than its current form. No doubt. But you know my intention. My intention is I'm fully focused on Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. I'm fully focused to answer the shubuhat for my Sunni brothers and sisters and to show to them that this is Tashayyu'. This is hiding behind this beautiful mask of loving Ahlul Bayt, following Ahlul Bayt, that they're masquerading and claiming that they're followers of Ahlul Bayt. The scholars, I mean. They're awam, they don't know. They're laymen, they're most of them, many of them are innocent. This is my niyyah. This is the way I do things.
Allah barak feek. Golden Hawk inshallah, he's going to ask a question. Still waiting for him to ask something. He said just a little while ago that he's discussing with someone on the chat. However, again, he's our guest, inshallah, today, and we give him the priority. Yeah,
it seems like Golden Hawk is pulling a shadi on us right now.
Give him a few seconds, Akhi.
Yallah, bismillah. In the meanwhile, regarding the taqleed and the lies, or lies in the narrative that Shias are taught, maybe an interesting topic we can address in the future is the shrine in Najaf and the historical contentions regarding it, and how it's actually heavily doubted whether it actually is the shrine of Ali. Now, obviously, this is not a fundamental theological matter, right? But it will shock people when they realize, oh, actually, a lot of early historians said that this grave you guys go to and bow down to and lick and ask for barakah is actually the grave of the Sahabi al-Mughira bin Shu'bah.
Abu Abbas, Habibi, please apologize, but this is so important because what you brought up, you know, we have a saying in Farsi, correct me if I'm wrong if you don't have it in Arabic as well. Why do you go so far, ya Abu Abbas? Why do you go to the grave of Ali bin Abi Talib if it is a known fact that there is no Zainab in the grave of Damascus? It is an empty grave. It was first discovered by a group of Sufi Sunni women who used to do some khurafi rituals there. And then the interest of the Iranian government, look at this behind all these khurafat is this shaitan from there. No wonder it will 70,000 of Dajjal's followers will come from Isfahan. I love my country. I love Iran. I'm Iranian, you know, but opposing the evil authorities and the accursed place of Qom where all this Zandaqa and heresies come from, it's not opposing your nation or your people.
Yeah.
So Abu Abbas, do you know that an ex-Shia person that Farid knows by the name of McIsaac, who is a member, and I'm not telling any secret, is known. He left Shiism and he's a member of, he used to be a high-profile member of Shia Chat. He wrote once a long post explaining, and when he used to be a Shi'i, the guy had some common sense left. When he used to be a 12er, he said, listen guys, all of you know, this is an absolute farce. There is no Zainab in that shrine. This is all done by the Iranians. In the last 30, 40 years, they started doing this. They make big money with the ziyarah trips. People go there for an empty grave, or God knows what is buried there. Dogs or some random person, but not Zainab radiallahu anha. This is a lie. There's no, you know what he mentioned? He mentioned there's not a shred of authentic evidences from our Shi'i books that Zainab is buried at that place at Damascus. And you look at the farce. How many Syrian children, how many innocent blood has been shed for the lie of the four as, what did they say in Farsi? The four as Zarih Zainab. So look, Yani, Wallah, you're right. If we talk about these things open a 1,000 other cans of worms, and people will understand how, subhanAllah, in the name of these shrines, how many khurafat and kufriyat and dalalat and blood has been shed.
Hassan, do we know where she's buried?
All I know is when it is unknown. It is unknown. McIsaac and those Shi'is who were a bit more honest on Shia Chat, they admitted, they said, we do not have any authentic Shi'i narration in our literature where she's buried. And the absolute irony is that the first people who started to claim that Zainab is there, exactly there, and then they built a shrine, were some Syrian Sunni Sufi women. Some Sufi community known for these rituals and practices. Is it not sad? Is it not, I mean, wallah, when I think about this every time, and this McIsaac, this at that time was a Shia, but he had this honesty at least to say, hey, well, wallah, this is a farce. We have to answer one day for that. You guys who support Bashar and all these shrine, you have to answer for that. Empty shrine, or at the very least, nothing to do with Zainab. And they go there. How many Afghan youth have given their life for $100 or $1,000 checks from the Iranian government? How many have went there? How many from went there?
I'm from Asham, right? And we know our lands. Lebanon is right next to us in Damascus. Ya akhi, recently in South Lebanon, in the last few decades, there's a new shrine that popped up for some supposed prophet in one of the villages, and even some of the Maraja are like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah,
It happens. You just every now and then you have new shrines. What's interesting is, like, for example, in Afghanistan, the city of Balkh, a huge famous city with numerous scholars.
Yes.
Now it's called Mazar Sharif.
Yes, Ali's grave there.
Yeah, they have a huge shrine for supposedly for Ali ibn Abi Talib. Do you know how why they built it? They built it because one man saw in his dream that Ali ibn Abi Talib's body was somewhere in the area, and they built this huge shrine.
Akhi, yes, already. Okay, I remember now the term Mudafi'an Haram, we say in Farsi. In Iranian media, full-fledged propaganda. Mudafi'an Haram. Yani mudafi'in anil haram. This is itself a bid'ah to call anything other than Mecca, Medina, and Quds a haram. Every Babak, even Siruz, Piruz, Miruz has a haram. MashaAllah, it's a holy place. Yeah, Abul Abbas, you just mentioned about everywhere popping up new darihs, new shrines, and new mausoleums, isn't it? And Lebanon will not, right?
Yeah.
Akhi Abul Abbas, I wrote about this in 2009. I should pull out this article from somewhere, my own article. Do you know that in Iran alone we have over 8,000 Imamzades? And do you know what Imamzade means?
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. Son of the Imam.
Hassan. Over 8,000 shrines here and there, Imamzade. Shah Abdul Aziz in Tehran, where the people make sujood in front of the grave. In every little village in Iran, obviously predominantly in the Shia regions, which are most regions, not all, but most, you see thousands of shrines. The son of the son of the son of the son of Al-Qadim. The son of the horse owner of Al-Baqir. The son of the baker, the neighbor of Fulan of Ar-Ridha. A joke, an absolute joke. At every shrine, Akhi, they put money in, people rub themselves there. Some shrines even have, now AC machines, where you can put your card in there and donate. Absolute farce, Akhi. Absolute farce in the name of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam.
Hassan, there's a question for you, and I think, I don't know if you're going to enjoy this one, but Golden Hawk asks you, your fan, he asks you, why are you so aggressive?
Golden Hawk, may Allah guide you. You see, everybody perceives something in another way. You are obviously, as a Shi'i person, you might perceive me aggressive. But now you heard from my own mouth, maybe it will change things. It is not that I am angry and aggressive. I describe it differently. It's subjective, I believe. I describe it passionate. I'm passionate. I believe that the tribal religion is a religion that its biggest victims are the Shias themselves before anyone else. And I believe that if a Shi'i wants to stay Shi'i, my neighbor, I can live with him, no problem. I live peacefully. I live all my life. I had never problems. I live peacefully. Most of my family are still Shias. I'm not aggressive at all. Everything, the thing is, you have to understand, these topics are hot. Everybody is slightly different in its nature and character. I'm not Farid. Farid is not me. My voice has a different tone, and the way I look in my eyes, I'm not angry. I see it as a subjective observation from you. Fine, fair enough. If you think that I'm angry every day, I enjoy my life. I enjoy my kids. I enjoy my salah. I enjoy my work, my real work. I mean, my work that I earn my bread with. And I enjoy doing my da'wah. And I explain or describe it as being passionate. I'm passionate about this. Very passionate. And if you say, why are you aggressive? Or if you want to give me an advice, khair, inshallah, you call it passionate, Mr. Wahhabi, Bakri, Hassan, Shemrani, whatever. But no, it still comes over as a bit aggressive. Try to be more calm. Thank you. I thank you or anybody else, and because if it's a good meant advice, sincerely meant advice, I'm not going to say no, but it's only, I'm passionate, you liar, you rafidi. No, I'm going to say to you, thank you very much for your advice, if you mean it as advice, and I'll try to be less passionate, let's call it.
Allah يبارك فيك.
And me.
Ameen. Here's a question. I love this one. I think we should all answer it, to be honest. Is it possible to reach a decision, so to speak, without going? This is about, okay, I'm going to start from the beginning. Just a quick and general question, so I understand if it's not appropriate to address her. Guys, please mute the mics. Abu Abbas? Okay, thanks. Just a quick and really general question, so I understand if it's not appropriate to address here. But basically, what would you guys suggest for someone who is confused between the two sects? Is it possible to reach a decision, so to speak, without going in depth into Rijal, etc., and assessing sources of hadith and other narratives which are based by both sides of the debate? I feel like doing the above is really overwhelming for someone who's only recently begun thinking about this matter in depth and isn't familiar with any of the narrators' names. So that's the question. And Hassan, please mute it, Habibi. Jazakallah khairan. My answer, I'll try to keep this short, inshallah, because I want you two guys to answer as well. You see, the superiority of Ahl Sunnah to Tashayyur is extremely clear to me, for many reasons, but the sources and the ilm al-hadith, that really, really, really helps, and it is clearer to me than it is clearer to many people, if not most people, because I've dived deep into this. However, I believe it is sufficient to sit down, to look into the Quran, and to use the Quran as a standard and a basis, and to judge based on what fits in with the Quran more. And I believe that the main difference between Sunnis and Shias is the Imam of the 12 Imams. That's the main difference. Shias are going to say it's the Sahaba or whatnot. Sometimes they might argue that, but we all know truly that the main issue is following the 12 Imams. Don't let them, tell you that it's about holding on to Ahlul Bayt. It's not about holding on to Ahlul Bayt specifically, because remember, it's specifically about holding on to the teachings of 12 Imams who are infallible, who are appointed by Allah. Now, hold that ideology, put it on the side, and compare it to Ahl Sunnah, the ideology of Ahl Sunnah, and put the Quran in the middle and see what's closer. That's my basic answer. Inshallah, it's sufficient.
I want to say, if you don't
please,
mind.
Abu Abbas, please.
Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. You see, we as a people, as humanity, we the Arabs, for example, before Allah sent Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we were a bunch of pagans that were fighting each other, that were doing the dirtiest of things any people can do. We in Syria, we were Christians. We were worshipping Isa ibn Maryam alayhi salam. People in Iraq were worshipping fire. And so we were in a mess. And Allah blessed us and the rest of humanity by sending a man from amongst us, whose name was Muhammad bin Abdullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And he gave him teachings, and he revealed to him a book called the Quran, which is the divine speech of Allah. If you read this Quran, you'll see that there are main objectives that this book emphasizes on, which is worship Allah by Himself, don't associate any partners with Him, establish your prayers, enjoin what is good and forbid what is evil, treat your family and relatives in a good way, your neighbors, wala wal bara. It emphasizes on certain principles, the Shahada, the belief in the Yawm al-Qiyamah. It tells us stories about the people of blasphemy and kufr from old ages. And Allah gave us this book as a source of guidance. And if you see this book, you realize that its highest objectives is not the concept of imamah, which is not mentioned in it. Rather, it's the 5 pillars of Islam, the 6 pillars of Iman, you look at the life of the Prophet ﷺ, you realize that the Prophet ﷺ also taught the same things, and he merely elaborated on what's in the Quran. And so the reality is, akhi, they bring up later issues that the Prophet ﷺ never addressed. There is not a single authentic report where the Prophet ﷺ addresses the concept of imama according to the contemporary 12er Shia madhab. So all I'm going to say is, look at the Quran, look at the spirit of the Quran, look at the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ, and realize that what we're doing is, we're merely trying to follow the Quran, and then Allah in the Quran tells us, obey the Prophet. So what we have is, we have his companions who fought with him, who sacrificed the most with him, who lost limbs, lives, family, and wealth for the sake of the Prophet ﷺ. We have them transmitting reports from the Prophet, and most of what they transmit is corroborated, and we follow that. Yani that's all we have. We're trying to follow the Quran and the Prophet ﷺ, and these people come and they're trying to doubt our foundations. And that's all what's going on, really. It's nothing complicated. We're just trying to worship Allah according to the Quran and the Sunnah. And that's all I have to say.
Allah barak fik. Hassan? Hassan? You're muted.
Dear brother and sister or sister who asked this question, and anybody else who's listening, first of all, know that this is a very good question. May Allah have mercy upon you. This is an essential question.
There's a follow-up question, by the way, Hassan. You might want to address this with the question that was asked. So if someone just focus on the 5 pillars of Islam, which are common between both sects, is it okay not to even consider yourself as a Sunni or a Shia and focus solely on the practice of these 5? It's from the same person.
I say, as I said, whoever asked this question, and anybody else who is listening, who is obviously not the questioner, any Sunni or Shia or anybody who is interested in Islam, min qalbi ila qulubukum, from my heart to your hearts, my words right now. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in his book, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إن هذا القرآن يهدي للتي هي أقوم. This Quran guides to that which is aqwam, the truth, the strongest, the best, the straight path. Quran is called Al-Furqan for a reason, not to give it fancy titles. It is called Al-Furqan for a reason. The book that distinguishes between truth and falsehood. No, we are not Quraniyun. No, we don't reject the Sunnah. But the asas is the Quran. The asas is the Quran. Know that if you have the asas and the main foundation, which is the Quran, from there you derive your main beliefs from. I give you now the advice of 2 former Ayatollahs. One is Ayatollah Burghi rahimahullah. I have a number of his books and audios for those who, some Shias deny his existence, some say that. Anyway, he is an Ayatollah who lived he died just a few years after the revolution, or was it early 90s, I forgot. And either way, he wrote a lot of books refuting Shiism left, right, and center. He wrote books again refuting Wilaya, refuting the 12th Imam myth, the 12th one especially. You know what he said? He said something very beautiful in Farsi. He said and he included himself, one day he was from them, just like I was one day one from them. They call Ali bin Abi Talib al-Quran al-Natiq. And they call our Quran the Quran of the Muslims. There is one Quran. Al-Quran al-Samit, waliyadu billah. Based on fabricated narrations. Look how they insult the Quran. They call Ali this Natiq, the speaking Quran, the living Quran. And Quran, the book as a book, the Quran as-Samit. How do I translate Samit, Farid? Dumb?
Silent.
Silent. You know why? Ayatollah Burghi said something very beautiful. Because they want to keep people away from the Quran. Similar things, and we should translate these things. Make dua, brothers and sisters, that our project grows and we translate these things. These people talking about Wahhabi money. These Wahhabi, who gives petrodollars to Hassan Shemrani? You know who gives me petrodollars? The same guy who helped me to buy my 430-pound car. The same Similar advice was given by Ayatollah al-Muayyad, the Iraqi one, who is alive. He said the same thing. He said, focus on the Quran. And every person I've seen who left Shiism, or anybody who is an expert of Shiism, this is the first advice who you will get. Focus on the Quran. No, it has nothing to do with being a Quranist. Are you not Quranist? You reject the Sunnah? It's not about rejecting Sunnah. It's about that the usul of our deen are all in the Quran, clearly in the Quran. And the scholars know for a fact that their religion is not supported by the Quran. That is why, brothers and sisters, it is the only sect that produced throughout history, especially in its early stage, not later stage, sorry, especially in the stage where they had power, like in the Safawi stage, openly produced scholars and books that emphasize that the book of Allah is distorted. Not just here or there narration, like Shias desperately try to say, in Bukhari, Muslim, a goat, 80 page. Why are they desperate? Why do they need to go after this? Because they're desperate. Whereas their scholars had to attack the soundness of the Quran because they know it doesn't support their beliefs. That is why I repeat, the Furqan, the Furqan, the Furqan, the book of Allah. Wallahi, the book of Allah is the biggest enemy of the Shia. The book of Allah alone. Forget about the Sunnah. With the Sunnah, it's total annihilation. But the book of Allah alone is the biggest enemy and strongest evidence against the Shia. From their beliefs in 12 Imams, from their beliefs that these 12 Imams by necessity must be infallible, from their beliefs that the vast majority of the Sahaba are kuffar, everything is the other way around. From the belief that we have to follow a specific group of people, none of it is in the Quran, the opposite. So the Quran, my advice is, no, it has nothing to do, it is not confusing, it's shaitan. Trust me, shaitan will come to you and say, oh, the issue is confusing. Is it, shall I read that hadith book, Rijal? It's easier than that. Read the Quran and ask yourself, read Surah Baqarah, where Allah warns against those who follow mutashabihat, ambiguous verses. Ask yourself, who is the sect who follows ambiguous verses and builds his religion upon anti-ambiguous verses? That's my...
Here's a picture of Ayatollah, ex-Ayatollah, Sunni Ayatollah al-Burqi, after this autobiography of his. It's quite enjoyable.
Biography he wrote, yeah, translated into Arabic. What was that? What was it then? What did you say? The person then said what?
About this was about is it possible to be, somewhere and excuse me, let me see. I need to make sure.
Be Muslim, not Shia Sunni, to follow the Quran.
Yeah. Something.
We are all just Muslims. Don't you know that Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, wherever they are the Muslims? Ahlul Sunnah don't go around and say we are the Sunni. It is funny that even the non-Muslims, as if they can feel or subconsciously understand that Shiism is separate from Islam. Whenever they say Shia Muslims, and sometimes Shias themselves push this narrative. We are first and foremost Muslims. That's what Allah called us. So of course you are Muslim before anything else. That's what Allah called you. Aslan, as some scholars say, Ahlul Sunnah is not a sect. All the others are sects. We are Islam.
I want to mention a point. Sorry, Hassan, if you don't mind. What is Ahl Sunnah Aslan? Like linguistically, it means people of the Sunnah. Like what? Alhamdulillah, one of the blessings from Allah, by the way, is that even our enemies call us Ahl Sunnah. We are the people of the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ.
We used to be until these guys, came up and they started calling us the Bakris and the Umaris.
Yeah. I'm a Bakri, bro.
Yeah. Okay. So we are Ahl Sunnah. It's not about sects. We can debate semantics. You can call yourself whatever you want. At the end of the day, we're just trying to follow Allah and the Sunnah of His Prophet. You can call us Hindus. Call us whatever you want. The labels don't mean anything, to be honest. As long as you stick to the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet, al-urwatul wuthqa, you're safe. You're a Muslim. That's what we are in reality. The only distinction is made to differentiate between us and fake people who call themselves Muslims and have messed up doctrines that are baseless in Islam. That's all.
Guys,
No.
let's go through these quickly because it seems like there's a bunch more. Here's one question. I think Hassan should answer this one. It's about the horse of Hussein. Okay.
Zuljana.
Why is the horse of Hussein? What's so significant in why is the horse so significant in the Ashura processions? It seems to me that they touch it, kiss it, etc.
I tell you from my own experience quickly. First of all, they say that the horse of Hussein had a name called Zuljana. It's not an impossibility. Arabs give their beloved animals, Arabs and non-Arabs give their animals names. So the horse was the horse was called Zuljana, and it wept after the battle of Karbala, and some mu'jizat miracles happened. Again, not impossible.
Like what? Like what? Where are the miracles?
What I remember is that they say it came there and wept, and whatever. Let's say because the argument is this Simo is now Yahya Simo, the teacher of this Shubairi, he comes now always repeats the one-liner that it's not impossible. It's not impossible. If Allah wants, He can give our imams all these powers. It's not impossible. طيب. So let's say the horse made all these miracles. Aslan, the horse got up and he did nothing. No problem. But here's the thing. When I will never forget. Was it 2000? I think it was 2002 or 1. When I was in our Iranian temple and this Husseiniya, the Indian subcontinent group Shias came, Pakistanis and Asians. Akhi Farid, they actually brought a horse. And wanted to bring it inside the mosque. So I was talking to them and I was like, you can't bring the horse in the mosque. That's a mosque. And he said, no, but we do that. We do that in Pakistan. We bring them all. And then later, and I have pictures of this. Not the particular incident where I was, but you can see pictures. They bring it sometimes in the mosques. But often it's just on the streets. And they make tabarruk from a random horse. Tabarruk means seeking blessing. So when I was on a day there, I asked the mullah of our mosque, I said to him, hey, is this allowed? Look at this. Because people, in one of the comments, somebody commented and said, oh, Hassan Shemrani, he's obsessed with things that laymen people do. It's not part of the Shia. What do you mean? Okay, tayyib, then bring me one of your scholars, main maraja, who goes on the mimbar and calls these things bid'ah and dalalat, who wage war against these bid'ah. Then I'm going to shut my mouth, all right? They don't. So anyway, Farid, they bought the horse. What did they do? They dressed the horse up like as if it's Imam Hussein's horse, called him Zuljana, and walked under it for blessings, rubbed their faces at it. And it is very common in Pakistan and India. Why? Because the Shia clergy is lenient when it comes to these masail of ibadah. You understand? They are very strict when it comes to prohibiting their people to lead prayers. In Tashayyu, it's the standard for being an imam in Salah is very high. You know that, yeah? It's very high. It's that you have to be this, adil, this. They make it very difficult. They make it very difficult for the layman people to wear amama or stuff. You will be accused of being a mullah. So they're strict in these matters. When it comes to matters of ibadah, which are actually tawqifiyah, i.e., they should be only done and approved and practiced if there's a clear evidence, they are relaxed and lenient. Do whatever you want. That's why the Shirazis and other of the Maraji, Rohani also say, everything is allowed for Abu Abdullah. There's one video clip of Muhammad Reza Shirazi, who is one of the teachers of Yasir al-Khabith, who says that some of the scholars allowed suicide for Imam Hussein. He quotes one at least. And look, that's the problem. So anyway, this is the story about Zuljana. Similar like Hindus. They bring this animal there and they seek blessings from it, claiming that, this is resembles the horse of Imam Hussein. It's white, and they do this khurafat. That's what they're known for. Are they known for anything other than khurafat, bid'ah, and dalalat?
Let's be quick, guys, because there seems to be a bunch. Is it ijma' that Sayyidina Abu Bakr is superior to Sayyidina Ali? I know some tafdilis that argue otherwise. Please shed some light. Abu Abbas?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. There is ijma' amongst the earliest generations of Islam that Abu Bakr was better than Ali. And in fact, even amongst the Shia themselves, you have Al-Qadi Sharik, rahimahullah, who was a Shi'i, and by Shi'i he used to believe that Ali was better than Uthman. That was what Shi'i meant in the 2nd century, in the 3rd century. So he said Abu Bakr is better than Ali. You know, Al-Qadi Abdul Razzaq, sorry, not Qadi. He's a famous muhaddith, Abdul Razzaq al-San'ani, author of Al-Musannaf. He was a Shi'i as well, and he has a famous quote where he says, Hassan, can you mute your mic, by the way? So al-Muhaddith, Imam Abdul Razzaq al-San'ani says, I would never prefer Ali over Abu Bakr. He was a Shi'i, by the way, take that into consideration. He said, I would not prefer Ali over Abu Bakr because Ali himself did not prefer himself over Abu Bakr. You know, Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah says, there is a speech Ali radiallahu anhu gave in Al-Kufa that is mutawatir from him, where he explicitly states that Abu Bakr is better than him, and that, you know, he did what was right, and his, you know, his seerah, his life was according, you know, it was proper, and his rule was, you know, according to the Quran and the Sunnah. So there is a unanimous agreement amongst the mutaqaddimin, the earlier you know, scholars, that Abu Bakr was better than Ali. Obviously, you have later Shi'as and Rawafid pop up and, you know, start claiming otherwise, but all the evidence hints to that and shows that Abu Bakr is in fact better than Ali radiallahu anhu. And at the end of the day, you know, a lot of our scholars did not even address these matters because in reality, you know, what's the point? Like, these are historical matters. It's like you go back 200 years and you're like, you know, as an American, we're now debating, you know, who is better as a person, George Washington or Abraham Lincoln. It really has little implications in our real life today. Okay, hypothetically saying Ali was better. So what? Really? It really means nothing. They're all dead. They're going to get judged on the day of judgment, you know, just like everyone else. And inshallah, we all believe they're going to go to Jannah. So I don't see what the big deal is out of this whole issue.
Okay, barakallah fiqh. Sunni Defense, will it be possible to have a Q&A session with Sayyid Ammar Nakhshawani? It is my dream to have Sayyid Ammar Nakhshawani on for a Q&A session. Hassan, you want to comment? Your mic's muted.
It's a bigger dream of mine.
We every night we think of Sayyid Ammar and we wish that he'd join us.
Every night, Farid, before he goes to the picture of Sayyid Ammar next to your laptop. Huh? You say? And from the narrations, yeah? You like his accent, yeah?
Oh, his lovely accent, mashallah. Inshallah, for those of you watching live, stay tuned. Inshallah, a video about Sayyid Ammar coming tomorrow. A short video, but all you guys are gonna love it. Okay, so here's a quick one. I think it's from a Shia. All right. Is it in Bukhari that Abdullah bin Umar was against those who have bay'ah to Yazid? Is this true?
That's for Farid.
And, Ibn Umar believed in the legitimacy of the bay'ah of Yazid, and Yazid was the caliph of the time, and he was against those.
Wait, but Farid, does that make Yazid a saint, an alayhi salam type of person?
Of course not.
No.
That's a completely different matter.
But he's Amir al-Mu'mineen now. Explain that to me.
Saying, oh, well, one can be a fasiq and yet be ruling the Muslims.
Wow. Is that based on Nahjul Balagha, where Ali says that the Muslims need a ruler in either case, fasiq or good?
I guess it could be.
You don't want to use Nahjul Balagha here, yeah?
No, I'm not using it.
That was a good role play.
No, you're chopping me. I wasn't ready, man. I wasn't ready for that one. Okay, let's see. I think we have to go through these quickly, guys, because...
Let's quickly. 1 minute.
Inshallah. Okay, okay, this is a strange question. It's about the Mahdi not being mentioned in the Quran, and yet we're following him and accepting him. I think the person who's asking this question is doing it with the intention of saying, you reject the Imam of the Imams because it's on the Quran, yet you accept the Mahdi even though he's on the Quran.
False. This
well,
is from,
yeah. You want to take it, Hassan, or?
Yeah, let me take it. Jazakallah khair. This is a logical fallacy here. Why? Because first of all, we do not say believing in Mahdi is from the usul. Thaniyan, if the mukhalif, if our opponent then says, yeah, but some of your scholars like Bin Baz or whatnot said if you disbelieve in the Mahdi, a hadith, then you're a kafir. This is a general rule. Anything that is authentic, we don't distinguish here if it's now a big matter, usuli, deep matter, or furu' matter. Anything that is established in the Sunnah, to you as a person, and you have no Shari'i excuse for rejecting it, and you reject it out of your hawa, that's kufr. But that doesn't make the Mahdi asl of deen. The Mahdi is not mentioned in the Quran for a very good reason. You know why? Just why Abu Bakr is not mentioned in the Quran and Ali, because none of them are asl of the deen. None of them are asl of the deen. The reason we believe in the Mahdi is because he's mentioned in a hadith. Just like I believe in the mustahabness, if you like, in the recommendation of using siwak, because it's mentioned in the Sunnah. And if I refuse the hadith of Rasulullah that came to me in reference to the recommendation of using the siwak without Shari'i excuse, that's just as kufr as rejecting the hadith of Mahdi. But that doesn't make the siwak from the asl of the deen, and it doesn't make Mahdi from the asl of the deen. So we believe in the Mahdi not because he's infallible or it's whatever, it's one of the foundations of religion. It's because the Prophet mentioned it. Anything the Prophet mentioned, we believe. Did the Prophet mention Taqi and Naqi? No. Did the Prophet mention that Zain al-Abidin is an infallible Imam must be followed? No. So we don't believe in this and disbelieve in this. Ila yawm al-qiyamah, inshallah.
Allah barak feek. I have a very quick answer, inshallah. Hassan, if you don't mind muting the mic. If you never heard of Abu Bakr, if you've never heard of Abu Bakr in your life, there's no issue with your Islam. Your Islam is still accepted. You're still a Muslim. If you've never heard of the Mahdi in your life, according to Hadith Sunnah, your Islam is accepted. According to Tashayyu', according to Shiism, according to Saduq, okay, who is the biggest muhaddith in Qom, if according to Al-Mufid, well, I'm not sure about Mufid. Let's just stick with the Saduq. I'm definitely sure this is in his Kitab al-I'tiqad. He says that if you are ignorant of the existence of the 12 Imams, if you're ignorant of the Imam of the 12 Imams, then you're a kafir. So again, this supports Hassan's point about these things being the foundations of Islam. It's not a foundation of Islam to be aware of the existence of Abu Bakr or Umar or Uthman, etc. However, it is one of the foundations of Tashayyu' to accept and believe in the Imamah of the 12 Imams, which is why we keep on bringing it up. Why isn't it in the Quran? Why isn't it in the Quran? Because it's such a big matter. People are going to hell for it, so that's why it's brought up. Okay, here's the next one. How do Shia explain what they done to Zain al-Abidin and how they abandoned him? Do they blind eye that piece of history like what they done to Hussein radiallahu anhu? I'm not sure. And if you guys have an answer to that?
Well, I'm not sure if they accept the narrative that we have regarding what happened with Zayd, rahimahullah.
I think it's weird because it says Zayd al-Abidin. I think what's meant is Zayn al-Abidin. I don't know if what's meant is Zayn al-Abidin or Zayd bin Ali.
Zayd bin Ali bin Hussein, probably. I don't know if they accept that narrative because to give a brief story to what happened. There was an Imam, a scholar, by the way. He's a transmitter of hadith, who was the son of Ali ibn al-Hussein. So he's the grandson of al-Hussein, who was in Iraq, and he revolted against the Umayyads, the Umayyads. And the Shia of Al-Kufa actually helped him. They went about with him and they supplied him and they told him, we're going to fight with you. And then one day they asked him, what do you say about Abu Bakr and Umar? And he said, Wallahi, I've never heard my ancestors except praising them throughout their lives. And so they told him, Narfuduk, we'll reject you. And then, you know, they were called the Rafida after that, the rejectors. And they left him.
By the Imam of Ahlul Bayt, that's important.
Yeah, he was the grandson of Al-Hussein. So just like they ditched his grandfather, they ditched the grandson. And they let him get killed. You see? I don't know if they accept this narrative, by the way, because in their books, they have some reports regarding Zayd, rahimahullah, where they say supposedly Ja'far said, you know, if he had won the imama, he would have known where to put it. He would have basically given it to Ja'far. Yani basically. So they have reports that praise him, and they have reports that attack him. And that's why, for example, Yasir al-Habib, he says, أنا متوقف في أمره. I don't know if he's good or bad, because there's contradictory reports. So to summarize it, yeah, that's what happened.
Well, just to add something to this, what you said, just very quickly, they reject that they know about the narration. It is in our books and Zaydi books, subhanAllah, not just in Sunni books. It's in Sunni books and Zaydi books. Then none other, not Nawasib, none other than one of the Imams of Ahlul Bayt, Imam Zayd, called the Rafida, the rejectors of the truth. Not the rejectors of Abu Bakr and Umar, as they claim falsehood. And so they say this is a lie. You know, the scholars, Yasir Khabith, commentators, they say, we don't believe in this. It's not in our books, he claims. On top of it, they have narrations. You guys know it. I think it is in Rijal al-Kishri, I saw it, I think, where they attribute to Ja'far al-Sadiq that Ja'far al-Sadiq said, we bring up our children and our big ones, all of Bani Hashim, to curse Abu Bakr and Umar. Wow. I wonder, Farid, this Ja'far al-Sadiq who was teaching 3,000 people in Medina, who did he tell that we order Sigaruna wa Kibaruna, we order the little ones and the big ones among us, Bani Hashim, to curse Abu Bakr and Umar? Wow, lines of the Rafida. Living his whole life in Medina, where did he do this? Of course, don't think that I'm taking the mickey of Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam. Imam Sadiq is innocent of this lie. These are fabrications, lies attributed to him.
I understand. Hassan, I guess this question is directed at you. When are you debating the Blade Runner?
Oh, this is a good question. Yesterday, the Blade Runner was in Hyde Park. After he was, I put it on my Twitter early this morning. After a few weeks where they were not there, they were absent from the park.
Very briefly, Hassan, please.
He was there. I would debate him anytime, anywhere. And I would like, if possible, if next time he goes to the park, to inform me, because this criminal individual, and that's what he is, has accused me of being a known terrorist. And hence, he put me and my family in danger. And he must stand his man, you know. It's my right, it's my legal right as a human being, as a legal resident of the UK. So when I see this individual on the street, to confront him civilly and ask him questions for why he did what he did. So anyway, anytime, anywhere. Him and his teacher and any of them, inshallah.
Okay, Hassan, please mute the mic. Inshallah, next time, guys, please, both of you, headphones are much recommended. So here's a question by Shia. By the way, we know this hadith said by the Prophet, if a person dies without knowing the Imam of their time, they die in ignorance. The thing is, Fatima Zahra was angry with Abu Bakr when she died. Okay. My brief answer to that is, that's assuming that she was angry with him until she died. We do not believe that being angry at your Imam makes you...
Farid, sorry, you should have commented first. The love is not authentic.
Sure. Yeah. I'm
Bukhari, right? That she died when she was disappointed or a bit angry.
Sure. Right? Now, even that in itself has been considered by some ulama to be a ziyada, an additional interpolation by Zuhri. Wallahu a'lam. So, assuming, let's say again, that's why I use these words like assuming. Hassan, please mute the mic. Assuming this is true, if you're angry with someone, it doesn't mean that you're out of their ta'ah. It doesn't mean that you have taken your hand out of, bay'ah, because there are many people that are angry with their rulers, but as long as they are under their authority, as long as they don't raise a sword against their rulers, as long as today they don't raise a gun, I guess, against the rulers, and they abide by the rules of the land, and they are under the authority of that ruler. So according to this, Fatima alayha salam was under the allegiance of Abu Bakr. And she was under the bay'ah of Abu Bakr. And she accepted Abu Bakr as her imam. All right, guys, inshallah, I think we're done for tonight because mashallah, we've been on for quite a while. Are there any closing comments?
Maybe I could say something if that's possible. Bismillah. It's very important to say that Allah gave us the blessing of Islam and gave us the blessing of holding on to the Sunnah of the Prophet, such that anything we can base our theology on. Hassan, would it be okay if you can? Okay, so anything we base our theology on is based on a direct text from the Quran or something spoken by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And so when we want to prove our theology to anyone, alhamdulillah, we have an abundance of texts for every single asl we have, every single foundation we have. We can justify it with a hadith or an ayah, something really strong. However, what these Shias come and do is they realize that their case is really bad. It's hard for them to make a case. Their books are very problematic. The amount of authentic reports in their books is really small. The percent is really small. They have little knowledge in the Quran. At the same time, the Quran does not really substantiate most of their theological claims. So what do? They end up putting all their effort into trying to instill doubts into the Sunni narrative. And by that, they think that they're making a case for Shi'ism, while in reality they're not. And most of their shubuhat can be addressed at the same time. So I think it's important for anyone observing this discourse to realize that the best thing they can do, and that's what happens on Bay'at al-Ghadir 24/7, is that they try to instill doubts into the Sunni narrative. You want to come to them and tell them, okay, prove your theology. Address the doubts that are associated with a lot of the claims you make. They can't. They can only show you, there's a contradiction, Sahih al-Bukhari, Sahih Muslim. They will try to doubt Adalat al-Sahaba, but they cannot establish and affirm their own aqidah. And this is one of the biggest blessings we have. And really, we need to take time to thank Allah and praise Him for this blessing. That's all I have to say.
Ameen. Hassan?
I say, Barakallahu fikuma to both of you. And yes, I can only fully agree with just what Brother Abu Abbas said, that no, my brother and sister, and I don't mean here just the Sunnis, the Shi'is who are tired of khurafat and shirkiyat, know that this is all they have. This is all they have. Their tactic is like a smoke screen, like to try to turn the table, to talk about how many fingers has Allah, abstract things that we don't worship no fingers, we don't have no idolatry in our religion. Sunni mosque are the most purest mosque, the most purest tawheed you find in our rituals, in our ibadah. So know that the reason they try to distract is because they do not want to talk about their theology, because their beliefs are built upon mutashabihat, upon ambiguous evidences, and every person of aql, every person who Allah wants khair for him will realize this and leave tashayyuh. And they know that. Their scholars know that. And this is why those among them, who are, let's say, emotional, passionate like me, but can't let go from these khurafat, this falsehood, think that by doing what they're doing, throwing shubuhat here and there, they can somehow save the face of their madhab, or, still the same, recycled statements and salesman statements. We are the followers of Ahlul Bayt. Don't fall for these things. They are not the followers of Ahlul Bayt. And wallahi, we are not the enemies of Ahlul Bayt. We are not Nawasib. We are not Nawasib, and we are not Rawafid. We are Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, the people in the middle, balanced people, love Ahlul Bayt, love the Sahaba, follow the Quran, take your heritage and narration from the Sahaba and the Ahlul Bayt, worship Allah alone, and inshallah enter Jannah. This is what we call to, nothing else. That's one me.
Allah barak fik, Hassan. Much appreciated. All right, guys. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.